with our beautiful guest, Stesha Baker. Welcome back. Yes, we are so excited to just dive into the second part with her. For those that have listened to the first part of the episode or haven't, you should. She is a survivor of domestic violence and sexual assault, and that is kind of where we were leaving off. And in the last episode, she had moved out of her and her husband at the time's home and was thinking about leaving. And there was a period where they were living separate, and we are picking right back off where she came back. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to have you here, and thank you again for choosing this space with us to share your vulnerabilities and speak your truth. Like, we're just so incredibly proud of you.
Yeah.
And just feel really fortunate to know you and continuously get to know you and just see your growth and progress as like a woman and as a friend. And I really am just so grateful and appreciative of like the friend that you've been to me as well. And I love you very much, man.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm gonna cry.
I appreciate
your vulnerability.
Yeah, it's a little tough, but I think it's an important story to be told. So
yeah, you're doing great.
I did move out. Like I said last time, I had gotten a rent house across the street from where we lived, and what's really interesting is we were married in 2016, and I don't know if I talked about this previously, but I think the timeline is interesting when you talk about it. We were married November of 2016. I got that rent house at the beginning of May of 2017.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow, yeah.
So like it was like, I can't be here anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think like a lot of people experience that time away. Sometimes that distance makes you feel like, oh, maybe things weren't as bad as we thought it was. We can work it out, that kind of thing. And so for whatever reason, and I say that because I genuinely don't recall, what kind of conversations happened in order for me to, go back to our home, but I did.
Yeah.
Well, I did. To backtrack, I remember you saying in the last episode that your mom helped you see a mental health professional, and you were medicated at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And under that medication, not being in therapy, this switch kind of went off, and it was rainbows and unicorns, and you went back to him, and you were sitting in his lap and had this really vulnerable moment.
So I had not left at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, that was before.
Yeah, I had not left
later.
at that point.
Okay,
yeah.
But when I moved out, I was still on that medication. I actually took that medication for a year and a half or so. And it was helpful. Like, it was very helpful. But like I, talked about previously, I just think for some people, maybe just medication is great. For me, I really needed to have that therapy component as well.
Sure.
To appropriately process and evaluate my situation, that probably would have changed a couple of things. But
Yeah.
And so when I moved back in, it had to have been probably June. So if you think about that, I went and leased this house. Okay, you have to sign a lease to a house,
Yeah.
Most of them are like 9 months to a year. And I remember going to the landlord, and I was like, hey, my husband and I are going to work things out. Is it possible for me to get out of my lease? And this man was so kind to me. He could have been like, no,
Right.
And he was like, yeah, that's fine. If you'll just pay the next month's rent, we'll call it good,
Mm-hmm.
And so my grandma, she actually ended up loaning that money to me so that I could move back in, to the house with my ex-husband. And if I have to just be completely honest with you, I really don't recall anything when I moved back into the house. The only thing I actually remember is that in July of 2017, I went and got an apartment.
Mm.
So like I was only back home for a month, 30 days. And then I went and leased an apartment. Some pretty, I guess, monumental moments or points that I recall leading up to renting the apartment. Obviously we're just fighting, but I remember wearing this hoodie and I was in my car and I was calling my mom and my stepdad in Washington, and I was like, I have to get out of here. Like, I have to get out of here. Can I please, like, I'm asking them for money basically.
Yeah.
For the deposit for the apartment. And I was like, I cannot do this. Like, I cannot do this. I cannot be here. And they did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they did. And so I went and I got an apartment in Moore. It was a cute little apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I moved in there, and the time in that apartment, excuse me, was really such an interesting time. I had still very much drinking. Okay. Still
Yeah.
very much drinking wine. But I'm still going to work. I'm still going to school.
Functioning alcoholic.
I'm just like totally functioning and like doing all of these things. And so my ex-husband and I want to say we didn't talk for a few months. Like, I mean, it was like maybe 90 days that we didn't speak to each other at all.
We were still married.
But we were still married. We were still married. And so I had reconnected with some friends from school. My sister was coming over a lot. And just kind of trying to figure things out, you know what I mean? And so I remember December 2017, I'm still in this apartment, and Christmas is like my favorite holiday of all time. And my dad and my stepmom had come over to see my apartment, and we watched a comedy stand-up, and I just remember sitting in my living room and I was like, this is so crazy. Like, this is what I'm thinking to myself, you know, like, this is so crazy. And my dad, he was like, I will buy your Christmas decorations for you this year. And that really meant a lot to me, just because, you know, my ex-husband and I, that was like kind of our thing, you know what I mean? Like, we both really loved Christmas like the same. And so, I got blue Christmas decorations, and I was calling it my blue Christmas, you know? And there was just a lot of drinking going on during that time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just the truth, you know?
Yeah.
There was a lot of drinking. I would sleep on the couch. I would like go to like pass out on the couch, wake up, and like take myself to my room. And I was just truly functioning like that. It was really, really nuts, you know? And so I want to say January or February of 2018. So we bring in the new year, woo, you know. My ex-husband and I had to have been talking. Like, I don't remember like specifically about what or anything like that, but we like definitely had to have been talking. And, you know, I was calling him one day and he was not answering the phone. And I had been drinking, and I'm like, this motherfucker thinks he's not gonna answer my phone calls? Which is nuts if you think about it. I moved out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if he doesn't want to answer my phone calls, he really doesn't have to, you know?
Right.
And I was like, this is, you're not, after everything, you're not gonna treat me like that, you know?
You're not gonna ignore me.
Right.
If anybody's gonna ignore anybody, it's gonna be me
Yes.
ignoring you.
Yes.
Like,
And so I get into my car, drive to our house. This is like 25 minutes from where I live now, you know? And I go to the home, and I have, like a key to my house still, you know?
Yeah.
It's like my house.
Right, yeah.
And he's not there. And so I'm like, oh, is this what we're doing? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I couldn't even believe it, because I was like, oh, this man has got to be seeing somebody. It's 11 o'clock. You don't even have friends. What you're not home at 11 o'clock? Like, what is this about, you know? And I lost it. And this is something that I'm truly not proud of, but I feel like it's an important part of the story, because it's just honest, and that's very important to me, to be honest. And so during this time, definitely intoxicated, and I got a box knife and I cut up his couches. I trashed. I mean, we had pictures of us, and I just ripped them. I grabbed the rest of my stuff that I could fit in my car. I things that I had purchased for him, I was like, oh, that's mine, I'm taking that back.
You was angry. Yeah. Rightfully so.
Oh, I was, I mean, I was infuriated. I was absolutely infuriated. And so he ends up calling me back that evening, and I had told him what I did. And then after I destroyed his things with a box knife, and then I left, and then he called me back, and I turned around because he had gotten home, and I was like, we're gonna talk about this. So I get back there, we're talking, and somehow that conversation turns into excuse me, oh, well, I'll just spend the night tonight. What?
Yeah.
And I think this was in February. This is February of 2018. I remember I didn't go to work the next day because, we're up talking till 3 o'clock in the morning, and then now I'm crying, oh, I love you. I'm sorry for this is me. I'm sorry for what I've done. I just did all this stuff, sorry I acted crazy, that kind of thing. But even on his part, I guess it's kind of odd. It's why would you? It's just weird. It should have been you need to leave, not hey, let's spend the night,
Yeah. That was about control.
And so, I ended up spending the night. I signed, I think it was a 9-month lease or a 10-month lease with the apartment. And I would say, I guess that reconciliation moment between us was we'll work things out, and I end up moving back. And so
was this the third time now that you
this
returned?
is the second time.
Okay.
This is the second time, the second and final time.
Yeah.
So it's 2018, I'm back. But this is this progression moving forward was the start of the physicality. Things are now ramping up, you know what I mean? And oof, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Take your time.
Yeah. Who does that? Who does that? It's just really tough to deal with. Okay. You can edit however you need to. So once I decided to move back after being in the apartment, there was a lot of mistrust. On his part, oh, well, I heard that you had guys over, and I have guy friends, you know what I mean? I have best friends to this day that have been my friends since I was in high school. No physical background there, they're just really my friends, and so, that would be the start of the argument, or, we argued about the kids a lot. I didn't really love how he would treat his son. It just seemed like he was really, really hard on him. And, I think there's appropriate discipline, but some of our biggest arguments would be about the way that he would speak to his son, talking to him about his weight. And I'm like, he's 10. He's 10.
Yeah.
And if you really think it's that big of an issue, why don't you go outside and play football with him then? Why don't you engage with him? Hey, son, let's go on a walk together. Or, it's why are you, it was just mean. I mean, or the way that, when he was trying to help him with his homework, and, his son would get so frustrated, he'd be so ugly to him. And it just bothered me.
Yeah.
And some of our biggest arguments would be about the way that he would interact with his child. And I'm like, I don't really like that. You know what I mean? And so, anywho, summer of 2018, we have children, and of course we're not doing well. And most in Oklahoma, you know, as you guys know, that there's like a shared parenting schedule for summertime. So we'd get them for 2 weeks in June and 2 weeks in July. And this had been the last 2 weeks of June in 2018. Very much still on my medication, very much still drinking. And I go to get my birth control shot. And they're like, oh, you missed your 2 week window, you have to take a pregnancy test. And I was like, okay, like, that's fine.
Yeah.
So the lady comes back to me and she's like, hey, girly pop. I was like, hey, like, where's the syringe?
Yeah.
Stick it in my body.
Right.
And she's like, you have very slight levels of, what is that pregnancy hormone? HCG, or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, present. And you're like blood. And I was just like, well, it wouldn't have been blood, it was urine, but, and I was like, okay. And I am actually like having what I would thought was like a menstruation, you know, but I didn't think, that wasn't unusual, like on the Depo
Right.
shot, you know.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like kind of thinking, I'm like, oh shit, you mean like I'm pregnant?
Yeah.
And she was like, you know, the blood that's present is probably like, you know, miscarriaging. Like you're probably doing that. Probably not anything. And I know I'm talking in jest about this, but this is how I'm like processing the information at the time, you know.
Right.
And she's just like, you know, it's probably nothing like super, like you probably won't have to come back and follow up, but like here's some education about this, you know. Let us know if you know, you have like further complications, but this is what's going on. And I was just like, huh, that's crazy town.
Yeah.
So the kids are staying with us at this time, and his mom would watch them during the day because we both had to work during the day. And so I remember I got home and she's there and the kids are there, and you know, just like as moms do, they walk through the door and you know, your kids, what's for dinner? What are we doing? Guess what I did today? You know, and so it's just like I'm just right into that mode, you know, like
Right.
take care of the household. And then also like I didn't want to have this conversation with my ex-husband because his kids were there. Like I wanted to tell him what was happening, but I wanted it to be during a time where like it was just us and we didn't have like people in our home, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So just to clarify, you were kind of already forced into that role of being a parent to your stepchildren, correct? Because he wasn't parenting.
Here's the dealio. I was doing homework, bath time, bedtime, dinner time. Oh, you need something for your school project. We have to have a special purple shirt because we're having a performance on Wednesday. Like, hey, let's pick our stuff up, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
that was, yeah, you know, and
Yeah.
it's like, did he participate in those things? I mean, I'm not going to say he didn't participate in those things, but like, I was definitely taking the role.
When it was
Yeah.
convenient.
I was
for him,
definitely
sure.
taking the role, you know,
Yeah.
like I was taking the lead on all of those things, you know what I mean? For sure.
Yeah.
And so the kids end up they go back to their mom's house because it's her turn to have them. And this is like right around 4th of July. And this is why I know this is at the end of June because there was fireworks, and fireworks are legal in Mustang.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could like stand at the very top of the room, the upstairs room, and it would just be like fireworks. Like it was really cool to see. So I go and tell him what's happened. I'm like, hey brother, hey brosif, had a miscarriage. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I wasn't sad about it
Yeah.
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like you didn't even know that you were pregnant to begin with, so there was no like there was nothing for you to like be excited about before you found out what was happening.
I don't even think I would have been excited. I think I would have been devastated.
Yeah,
Right, because of your relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, I
For sure.
had zero intentions of ever having
Right.
children with this man.
Yeah.
None.
Right.
I was like not trying to be connected to him for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I was very.
'Cause now you're just trying to get through your 5 years that you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
5 years without children.
Yeah.
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 And so, you know, I think he was like really shocked. And then he didn't believe me. Like, didn't believe me. Like, thought I was lying.
Like you just made it up.
Yeah. Like, I just, like, that's not true. Okay. So that fucking pissed me off.
Yeah.
And so I went and got the patient education out of my car. And just to kind of put things into perspective for you, like, he's living upstairs at this point. Like, his stuff is upstairs. He sleeps upstairs. I'm in the master bedroom. And I, like, throw the paperwork in the room. And he's like, well, why didn't you tell me when it happened? And I was like, because your children were here. Your mom was here. Like,
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell you with you, you know? And like, here you are making this situation like trying to keep something from you, or like, I didn't want to announce it while your children were here. Like, I wanted it to be about the kids. Like, I knew that this was negatively going to impact him because, like we talked about before, you know, we don't have a kid. By the time we're 32, we're getting a vasectomy. That was a very large topic of conversation in our relationship, even after we got married. It was like, kids. Why are you on birth control? Why are you on birth control? You know, that kind of thing. So I knew that he was going to be like pretty negatively impacted by it, and I didn't want the kids to be like, oh, what's wrong with dad? Like, what, you know? I mean, it was just a few days, you know.
Right.
So I had asked him not to say anything to anybody because it's my business.
Right.
It's our business. I would really prefer for you not to go and like talk about this to anybody, you know.
Yeah.
So I was really upset, obviously, because he, you know, I gave him the paperwork and that's fine. And I remember staring out the window and watching the fireworks go off. And I was just like, you know, this is one of those holidays that I used to enjoy. Like, I'd go buy fireworks and, you know, and like, here I am miserable in this house. Like, I feel like I'm in a jail. Like, that's literally what I felt like, you know. So we get past that moment, if you want to call it getting past that moment. And so we're in July. During that month, this topic comes up again. And he tells me, well, you know, I talked to so-and-so, and, you know, he's really such an interesting guy. He really doesn't have any friends, and I'm not trying to say that to be rude, right?
Yeah.
So everybody he would work with would somehow become like his friend. Like, he would have like a relationship with them. That's his friend. And I'm like, that's just your coworker. But
Right.
yeah,
Right.
you know, like maybe you've created these unhealthy entanglements,
Right.
but like, that's your employee.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So there was one dude in particular, and I actually liked this guy. But he told me he had talked to him about the miscarriage situation, and he goes, I talked to so-and-so, and he says that you're a bitch because you kept that from me. And I said, oh, I'm a bitch because I wanted to create an intimate space for us to talk about that. Oh, and thank you, by the way, for going and telling everybody what I asked you to not. Like, really, really, really appreciate that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, thank you so much. So basically at this point, just the dynamic in our household is we're just fighting. Like, just fighting. He ends up getting fired from his job. I wish I could remember what month this is in.
The job that he's had, that y'all met at, that is like supposed to be paying y'all's bills, but isn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And so, I remember I'm sleeping. This is all 2018, right? I'm sleeping. And he comes and lays on top of me while I'm sleeping, and he's crying, okay? And I'm like, what the fuck is going on, you know?
Yeah.
And he tells me he got fired. And I was like, huh, okay. Why?
Yeah.
So he tells me this story, and could it have been a terminable offense? You guys know I got a little HR brain going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would, like, write up, sure.
Yeah.
Termination? That's a little extreme,
So
right?
what did they say happened?
That he called one of his employees a workhorse.
Now, is this coming from him?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
That's why he was terminated. And he was like, well, I was saying it, like, you know, she works so hard, she's like a workhorse. And I'm like, well, that makes perfect sense. Now, granted, do I know this woman's ethnicity? No. Do I know anything about this woman? Has there been other complaints? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Correct.
But that's basically what he told me he was terminated for. And I was just like, well, that's insane. You've worked for them for a while. Like, you probably should file for unemployment because that's not good. And then I'm immediately in like fix it mode. Fix it. Okay, so I'm like, baby, get a resume together. We need to apply for jobs. We need to get some things together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm going to work, and I'm like actively applying for jobs for him while I'm at work. Like,
Yeah.
Sorry. It's just crazy.
I'm just like, we gotta get a job, baby. Okay, so he's at home, right? Just, and I'm not even gonna say chilling. Maybe he is applying for jobs. Like, I'm sure he probably applied for a couple of jobs, but it was heavily on me, like resume, you know, all of these different things. And so I remember I came home one day and he had ripped the bushes out. They were ugly bushes. I wanted them gone anyways, but he had ripped the bushes out from the front of the house, you know? And like, basically that's what he had done all day. And then I guess my reaction like wasn't good enough. I was like, oh, you ripped the bushes out. So like, tell me about your job search today. I just worked you don't even care. You don't even care that I just worked all day and did all this stuff. And I'm like, I said thank you. I'm like, that's not paying our bills, bruv. Like, you have child support. You know, we have things that we have to take care of. Like, I'm not, you know, super huge fight. So he has an interview with this company, basically kind of doing the same thing. And, you know, I'm like, what are you gonna wear to the interview? I was like, you need to go get like a suit. You need a resume. You need your resume printed. You need to bring that with you. Like, it kind of like a mom. You know what I mean? And the night before his interview, we get into a huge fight. And will somebody ask me why?
Why?
Because we haven't had sex.
Because you didn't, or
Because we haven't.
Oh, okay.
We hadn't. So let's recap. You think I'm lying about the miscarriage. You get fired from your job. You're unemployed. Things are not good.
Yeah, we're fighting every day.
We're fighting every day, basically. You don't even sleep in the room. But we haven't had sex. I was fucking postal.
Yeah.
I lost it. Lost it.
Yeah.
And I just remember I'm sitting on the couch and I'm screaming. I'm screaming. Like, I'm irate. I'm irate. Because also, I'm tired of hearing that. Like, I'm really tired of hearing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm tired of hearing that. And so, okay. So we're arguing because we've not been intimate, and this is literally the night before this like interview, and I was classifying it as a big deal. Like, hello, you're unemployed. Like, you need to have a job. And secondly, I mean, it seemed like it was going to be a good opportunity, and so in my mind, I'm like, why are you not? We're supposed to be practicing like interview questions right now, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to help you prepare, but then your shitty ass attitude is because we've not been intimate. And so, like I said, I lost it. I totally lost it. I'm yelling, I'm screaming. You know, I'm like, I probably even threw the notebook I was writing on. And I was like, you know what, you want to be intimate? I was like, that's what the problem is? I said, come on, let's do it. Come on. We did.
Wow. Yeah.
I cried after that.
Yeah.
My soul literally left my body. My brain left my body. I had to remove myself. I had to literally remove myself out of my, I just had to be a shell.
Yeah. You had to.
I just had to be a shell. And then afterwards I went into the bathroom and I cried. Probably drank after that. I don't even remember what happened after that. I don't know. You know?
Yeah.
And I went to sleep. And I think that was probably one of the last times that we were together in that way. You know, that was really, like really difficult to, I was so angry that I felt like I had to do that. You know, that I had to be, you know, in that situation, and that I felt like I had to put myself in that situation because it's like, you know, that nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Like, let's not address the reason maybe why we're not.
But
It's just that we're not.
That's gonna get him to leave me alone.
But like, fine, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Go get this fucking job now.
Yeah.
You know? So the next day he goes to this interview, and here I am like trying to get off work early so that like we can prep a little bit before he goes to his job interview. Like, I'm trying to get off my job early to help this grown-ass man prep for this job interview. I want to say my mom totally let me use like her JCPenney's card so that he could go get a suit and like a tie and like be very presentable because it was a big opportunity, you know what I mean? So I'm unable to really leave at the time that I wanted to, okay? And I keep telling him, you need to leave the house by this time or you're gonna be late. You need to leave the house, like, you get in traffic, you have to leave the house, okay? So then...
The fact that you even have to say that, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Yeah.
For freaking sure.
To an adult that is years
Supposed to be
older
capable.
than you. 8 years older than you.
Would you know that man was late? So I'm driving to go meet him at the location that he's having this interview at, because I had like this little leather notebook that, you know, I was like thinking would be really nice and professional to take into the interview.
Yeah.
But he had everything else he needed, okay? So he's late to the interview. I'm so annoyed. Like, annoyed's not even the word, right? Like, I think angry is a better description. Because I just drove all the way from my job, and this is like on the north side, okay? You're late. We're pulling up at the same effing time. You should have had your ass in there already, you know? He ends up doing the interview. Like, needless to say, he did not get that job. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, what is wrong with you? Like, why can't you, like, be an adult? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand this, you know? So anyways, he does end up getting a job with that company, just a very lower level position than what he was anticipating getting. And so this particular job required him to be out of town for training, okay? And I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I think it's important to note. So I had to get a new car in 2016 because my transmission went out in my vehicle. I was not excited about that because I only owed like $6,000 on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, dude, this sucks, you know?
Yeah.
So I called my stepdad and I'm just like, what do you think? Like, should I pay for the transmission? Should I not pay for the transmission? He was like, it's a Dodge Avenger, girl. Like, go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah.
And so my stepdad is like a genius, okay? So I trust anything and everything he tells me. And so he found a car for me. And he was like, this is where it's at. Go look at it. Go test drive it. See if you like it, if you do get it. And I was like, okay, cool. Was it 2016 that I got that car? sure it was not? Anyways, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay? It doesn't even matter. The point is, I had to get a new damn car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was inconvenient.
Yeah.
So my stepdad finds his car. It's like $16,000 and some change. Okay, so after I rolled over my negative equity, I was like a $23,000 car, and my freaking car payment was like $345, which was sad. But like, it had to happen. I have to have a car.
Yeah.
I had people like pushing my vehicle out of my parking spots at work because it wouldn't, you know.
Yeah.
So after I get my car, maybe this is 2018. It is. My ex-husband's like, I don't need a new car. Understandably, like you kind of get that itch, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you have a new car, I would like a new car, you know?
Yeah.
But he had a Ford Explorer and it was trashed. Like, as you know, with children in cars, young kids in cars, it's like, here's your lunch from yesterday, you know, like,
Or 2 weeks ago.
or 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, and then like we smoked cigarettes, so he smoked in the car, and he still owed like a significant amount of money on it. And so when we were talking about it, I was just like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to have a new car as well. It's just financially not the smart thing for us to do. Like, we can't roll. First of all, you're not getting $10,000 for this car in trade-in value, you know.
Yeah.
We're not rolling over $10,000 like negative equity, and he wanted a truck.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I'm like, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trucks are expensive. I mean, you're already looking at like a minimum $500 car payment if you get a truck.
Don't I know it?
Like, let's just be logical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's make good financial decisions. So he gets this job. So we have to fast forward, okay? Because he gets this job, and he starts working at this job. He used to drive like, at first it was just like an hour away from the house, about 45 minutes. And one evening in August of 2018, we get into a very large argument. And you know what? I don't know why we were arguing. We just did, like we normally do, you know?
Yeah.
And so I don't, like I said, I don't know what the hell we're arguing about. I just know, like, I was like, I'm done with this. Like I probably always did, you know?
Yeah.
And so then he had at some point moved his stuff back into like our master bedroom, and I moved it all into the hallway. No, not nicely.
Mm-hmm.
I threw the shit into the hallway, and I was like, you need to go. Like, you need to go, you know? So we're fighting, and he calls like his mom or his dad during the argument. And I kind of found that to be comical, because I just thought, well, of course you want to call them now, like when I'm acting crazy.
Ooh,
But when you're acting crazy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whatever. It's Stesha. She's crazy. Look how crazy she's
Yeah.
being. Look, she threw my clothes in the hallway. She's so crazy.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like, hell yeah, brother.
Yep.
Whatever you say. Like, I don't, like, somebody's got to be the villain. I guess it'll be me. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know?
I'll take it.
So he ends up leaving. But before he leaves, he's like, well, my dad said he's concerned for my safety. I said, oh, really?
Wow.
Concerned for your safety? Now, mind you, at this point, like, there had been no physical, like, interactions between us. Now, I mean, am I, like, throwing shit across the house? Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Like, yes, acting,
But y'all aren't.
appropriate behavior? No, ma'am. You know, and do I recognize that? Of course I do.
Yeah.
I was doing the fucking best that I could, though.
Yeah.
You know?
I do want to note, like, as you talk about your story, like, it's very easy to point out the levels of calm, chaos, calm, chaos, calm, chaos. And so that is a pattern with narcissistic abuse. There's going to be periods of calm,
Right.
and then something has to happen because he has to stir up chaos in order to continue that pattern, because it releases, you get your dopamine release when things are calm, then you get your levels of cortisol released, the stress hormone, when things are chaotic. Okay, and that's what trains the nervous system to become addicted to those highs and lows. It's highs and lows. Wait, it's too peaceful. Something has to happen. Is something okay? And so you're seeing that as you tell your story.
It felt like that.
Mm-hmm.
I lived that. So my dad said he's concerned for my safety. And I said, okay, we'll leave then. Bye.
Yeah.
So I did. I would just leave. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to bed. I got work tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I go to work the next day, and I'm just like working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like fairly unbothered and unconcerned, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I get this like really lengthy text message from his dad. Okay, and the beginning of this sentence says, just wanted me to let you know that he's okay. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, I wasn't concerned about his well-being. He left on his own recognizance. Like, I have no doubt he's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thanks for letting me know, pal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, thanks for, and then it just, I don't even know what else he was talking about because I was just so stuck on, he wants me to let you know that he's okay. He's an able-bodied person, he has a phone, and I wasn't worried about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Yeah.
worried about it. But just another example of like his father injecting himself into,
Enabling.
well,
Yeah.
very much enabling,
For sure.
like this really ridiculous ass behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So I go home from work and a few days pass, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And this is like the longest period of time that he's ever like left. So then this self-reflection thing starts happening. Like, maybe this is my fault.
Mm.
So I'm like, shit, this is my fault.
Mm.
So I called a friend and I was just telling her what had happened. She ends up coming over. She brings me this book and it's called The Power of a Praying Wife. Okay.
I've heard of that book.
Have you?
Yeah,
Oh,
my ex wanted us to read it together.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've already said this, but I'm not like super religious.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, but she brings, and she meant well, of course.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And she was very instrumental in my life at that time, and a very large reason why I would even say that I'm alive today. And I genuinely mean that, you know?
Yeah.
So she brings this book, Power of a Praying Wife. And we're talking. And I'm just kind of telling her what happened and like about the argument. And then, you know, I was like, well, it's been a couple days and like he's not reached out to me. And then, you know, which would be, it's just this is like an unusual series of events that are happening here, right? Like this is not
So what you
normal.
guys were used to. Yeah.
Yeah, like what we're used to. You know,
Right.
It's like usually you would have probably been home by now or like blown up
Right.
my phone by
Yeah.
now, you know? And so she gives me this book and then she recommends that I bless my house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in my mind, I'm like, I don't have holy oil, but I got olive oil.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
That ain't wine, that's grape juice.
Praise
That Concord
the
grape, you know.
Lord. So I like put it in like a small container and I'm, you know, the kids aren't here. I'm by myself in the house. And I truly walked around each room of my house and like prayed over every single room in the home. Specifically, like over the kids' room, it was specific about them. You know, like our family room, I prayed specifically for our family. Our bedroom, I prayed specifically for our relationship. I mean, I was like, such a, this is an unfortunate pattern in our relationship with me going back into, this is my fault, it's my fault, I did it, you know what I mean? So I blessed the house with my holy oil and just go about my day and I start reading The Power of a Praying Wife. So in this book, oh gosh, I also tried to look for that because I highlighted things and I would have just loved to reflect in on what it was that stuck out to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that book that was like speaking to me. But the premise of the book is basically like the woman is to pray for her husband.
Sure.
And like that's gonna fix it. Like God's gonna fix it because you know we are the power. Like we're powerful because we are women, and we gotta pray and be intentional about praying for our husbands. Okay. So baby, I was like, shit, I'm gonna pray.
Right. Yeah.
Baby, I'm about to go to war.
Yeah.
Okay. So I go to work. This is August 22nd or 23rd, 2018. You're like, why do you know that? Because I do. It's a beautiful day. Coming home from work and I see a brand new GMC sitting in my fucking driveway with a paper tag. And it said 82223. At first I was like, this is not my house. And then I was like, wait, that is your house. That is your driveway. That is your house and your driveway. With a truck in it, with paper tags, okay? This man is sitting on the patio furniture in the front, and I'm like, hey.
Yeah.
Hey, Larry Jim Bob.
Haven't seen you in a few days, buddy.
Yeah.
Whose fucking truck is that?
Yeah.
Got a Denali and a Cadillac now.
So I sit on the porch with him. This is something else really important to know. I think I told you that my stepmom had put me in therapy, right? Like she paid for 12 sessions. One of the things that the counselor had told me in the sessions is that if I'm going to choose to be with my husband, I need to be with him. Like every argument can't be, oh, well, you know, you were talking to so-and-so and I caught you with this and throwing things up in his face. Like if you choose to be there and you want to be there, then be there. So I was like, you know what? You're right. Okay. So I had started this thing with my ex-husband that I would allow him to lie to me. Because he's such a liar, like about anything.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, is electricity bill paid? Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Then
Like-
you cut off notice.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, oh, did you pay the attorney? Yes.
Yeah.
Emails. Like, hey, Stesha just reaching out because, you know, there's $1,800 due. And I'm like, sent it. It's right. Like, it's on the way, you know. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let this man lie to me. I'm just going to let him lie to me because the truth will come out. It always does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I just remembered something, but anyways, we'll go back to that. So I'm sitting there and he's telling me that he was staying at his cousin's house when he left, you know, when I was being unsafe, when I was, you know, he was scared for his safety.
Yeah.
And he was driving to work and his car broke down. I was like, huh, okay.
Unfortunate.
Truly.
Yeah.
Truly. So his cousin was nice enough to call her insurance company and they towed his car to a car dealership. So I said, your cousin's car insurance towed your vehicle to a car dealership, but you're not on the policy. But they were like, you know what, we're going to help you out today, bud. Additionally, you have your own car insurance. So, like, why not just call your car insurance to tow you to a dealership? Okay.
Because that makes too much sense.
Of course it does, but I said it to him like that. I said, so your cousin's car
Repeating
insurance.
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's like, yes, you know, yeah. Took me to the car dealership. So he goes and, you know, he trades the car in and they were so nice to him. You know what I'm saying? They were so helpful.
So he just had to.
They were so helpful. His car was unsalvageable. I mean, my God, what could we do? You know what I'm saying? And so I said to him, I said, how much is the tag for that car? Or that truck, I'm sorry, let's be very clear. And it was brand new. Like I'm talking about, drove it off the lot with like 10 miles on it. He said, well, that's the thing. They're going to pay for my tag. I said, the dealership's going to pay for your tag? He said, yes, they're going to pay for my tag because, you know, I bought a brand new car. And so, you know, they're going to pay for my tag. I said, that is so nice. Never heard that before. I've purchased
Best dealership in
I need to go there.
Yeah.
I've purchased 4 cars in my lifetime, okay? Never heard that. And I said that. I was like, I've never heard that.
Yeah.
I said, now I know you can roll your tag
Correct.
into the cost of your vehicle. Yeah. But paying for it, my God, that's so, what a deal. What a deal, you know? So then I was like, how much is the monthly payment on that? $745 a month.
I just want you to know my brain said 740. I was close.
Say, yeah, $5 off. Yeah. God.
Not including the insurance.
Was the dealership going to pay for that too?
Right.
Cheese and rice biscuits.
So I'm like, okay.
No, his cousin is probably going to pay for it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah. Good job. You gotta steal.
So then he's like, do you want to see the inside of it? I said, yeah, let's go take a look.
You got that black eyes hanging
I'm
right
like,
there.
absolutely, let's go take a gander.
I love that word.
Thank you, I do too.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at it, and I'm like, hell yeah, it's nice. It's nice, baby. I'll tell you that right now. $745 a month. What is that? Like a $50,000 vehicle?
Did it have TV? Seats?
No, and you know what? That was the most
Baseball.
pathetic
Just
thing.
kidding.
No, it's. So you have an almost $800 payment for a base model truck. Baby, we don't even have a backup camera in this mug.
Wow.
I don't know if I had a backup camera, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we drive to Freddy's, and we're in the truck.
Taking a cruise.
Taking a cruise into town,
Look how
baby.
smooth it rides.
Yes, taking a cruise into town. And anyways, I mean, I just couldn't believe that. You know what I mean? Like, between our 2 car payments, that was over $1,000 of our doll hairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of our income being allocated to just car payments. You know what I'm saying? And I knew that this man was lying to me. I knew that this man was lying to me. But I was like, that's all right. Baby, that's all right. So then...
Because I'm a prayer warrior now.
Absolutely, and I blessed our house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get that bullshit out of here. Deflection.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not gonna break us.
Oh my god.
Sheesh. So,
Just pray it away.
September, here we are. September 2018, baby. And we have a mortgage that's due on the 1st of every month. But most people, know that you can actually pay your mortgage up until the 15th without a late fee.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Yep.
And so had to have been around that time, right? So I'm just checking to see, like bills clearing, different things like that, checking my bank account. And I noticed it said reversal. And it was like $13.50 reversal. I was like, what a weird word. Like, what is that? I was like, what is that? Like, I don't get it. Looks bad. I think it was in red,
Yeah.
So I called the bank and I was just like, can you please explain to me what this means? And the lady was like, well, I can't really talk to you about it because you're not on this account because it was his account, right? Because I made him get his own bank account. Like, after we had done the moving out, moving in thing, I was just like, you need to be on your own bank account. So I said, well, that's no problem.
Can I say how freaking fucking frustrating being married and having to share finances with someone? Like, I know you just said, like, at that point in time, like, it was on a different account.
But still very much sharing finances.
Yeah.
Yes. But not being able to do anything about anything half of the time. That is what I would always get is, well, you're not the primary account user. Well, you're not this. But I'm the one that's doing every single
I'm
thing.
also the one that's going to make sure that my lights come on every day.
Correct.
Yeah.
But
Thank
how frustrating is that? Because everybody makes marriage, everything is so glamorous. We glamorize. But no, like, it's even more fucking harder and frustrating because you don't have access to anything. They make it seem like you do, but you don't.
No,
anything that you try to
if
get
you're
done.
not on the account, we cannot speak with you.
No.
I'm like, that's fine. Repossess it, then I don't care.
You know what I'm saying? Yes.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I can't speak to you like in detail about this because you're not on the account. And I said, girly papa, don't you even worry about it. I'm about to throw away my husband. Don't you even worry, her girl. Don't you worry. So I call him and I'm like, hey, the bank's on the phone. I need you to talk to him. So I said, my husband's on the phone. I said, tell her that she can talk to me. God. And you have to at that point.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So he gives her permission to speak to me, and she says, well, what happened is that the payment for your mortgage was posted, but the money was not in the account, so the payment reversed.
Is he still on the line at this time?
Oh, no, you know he hung the phone up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we can't be present
Right.
when you're about to get busted out.
Right.
You know?
For sure.
Yeah.
So I said, hold on. He's like, my mortgage wasn't paid? she's like, no, there was an attempt, but the money was not there, so it was returned. The payment was returned. I said, okay, cool. Word.
Yeah.
Called the mortgage company. I'm like, can you tell me what this means? And they're like, well, like, you still owe the mortgage. There's a $25 fee for the return, plus the late fee that goes on top of that. And I'm like sick. I'm ill.
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally sick to my stomach because I'm like, I don't understand this. Like, this is our home. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
I know, and I used to be so organized. Like, I had a calendar, like his payday week, my payday week. I knew how much money we got, like when the bills were due, all of these things. So I knew that this man just got paid. I'm like, what is happening here? Hindsight is so funny. So I call him back, and I'm, ooh, baby, I'm livid. Because remember when I told you that I let him lie to me, right? Because I'm like, the truth will always come out. It doesn't even matter, right?
Right.
So I'm like, what the fuck's up, bruh? What are we doing? What's going on? Explain this to me. He had to go buy his tag.
The one that the dealership paid?
Yeah.
The dealership lied. They're a bunch of liars. They swindled him.
I said, you went. Because let's think about this for a second. Let's even just be logical for one minute, right? Let's say, like, your tag is due, because it's due in like 30 days, right? Mortgage is due, but you could get your tag laid. There will be penalties for that, of course.
Right.
But you're not gonna like lose your house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, your car's unlikely to be like taken from you, impounded, if you're like a few days late getting, your tag. This makes so dumb. So I said, I thought that you said that the dealership was paying for your tag. Well, I guess I just misunderstood. And so at that point, like, I'm done. Like, we're not doing this. Don't stop. Yeah. Like, you're so pathetic that you can't even just be fucking man enough when you're caught up to just admit the truth.
Right.
So I'm like, you weren't confused. There was you're not a dumb person.
Yeah.
Like, you knew exactly what was going on. And you just you were trying to make it sound good to me because you knew you made a really poor choice. So then I busted him out about the whole thing. I'm like, I'm going to tell you why the towing situation don't make no sense. I'm going to tell you what I think happened, what I know happened. Fix this shit now. Fix this shit right now. Fix it. I grabbed my box of wine. Because I'm still drinking, baby. Okay. I get into my vehicle. Don't drink and drive. It's against the law.
Yeah.
And I drove to the neighborhood across the street. I could not be home. I could not be there when he got there. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I could not. So I removed myself. And I sat in my car and I called my grandmother. And I was yelling. I'm sure the only reason why the cops did not get called on me in that neighborhood is because it was construction, because I was yelling. I was yelling. I could not, that was up here to me. So selfish. You're so selfish. Like, we have dealt with things like, I'm going to go buy $80 cologne. Excuse me. But the electricity bill's not paid. But damn it, I smell good.
Yep.
I'm going to go buy, I'm going to go into Express and purchase fucking $30 socks that get holes in them every 2 weeks.
I'm gonna get a Stitch subscription and have.
But damn it, do we got groceries? Hell no, brother.
Sure
but my
do.
socks are fire, bro. Like, what?
They're holy socks.
We had dealt with those types of things, This was beyond to me. This is our home, this is your children's home. This is where your kids are at. Selfish. I was so angry. Oh my God, I was so angry. I was so angry. So I chilled down. As my nephew would say, chill down. I chilled down and I went home. And he was like, I fixed it. It's fixed. And in my mind, I'm like, he probably got money from his dad. I'm like, good. And I know, I was good.
Yeah.
Don't let this shit happen again.
Yeah.
Don't let this shit happen again.
Yeah.
We didn't even fight after that. I was just like, good.
Yeah.
So, let's see. September, October rolls around, okay? And his son's birthday is in October. Of course, you know, like, and you know, I'm always asking him, like, what kind of birthday do you want to have? And me and the kids at this point, we were spending a lot of time alone together. It was like the best.
Yeah.
Because he had to be away, you know, like he was like working overnights, you know.
So you were actively raising the children at that point.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
totally like alone.
Yeah.
I would also say at this point, like me and the ex-wife, cool as a cucumber. Okay. Like very, very much communicating. Like if we went school clothes shopping, you know, we shopped in the same places like Old Navy, whatever. And so I'd be like, hey, do you have this shirt? Because, you know, we're not trying to buy the same stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just very much getting along. And so he was just but he had to work overnights, you know. And of course that was the huge problem because then it was just like sulking. So then we started
I have to be alone.
missing out.
Oh my God.
I'm never included.
Missing out, you know?
God damn. Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you're grown. And this is your job.
Fireworks are just going off.
This is your job, okay? You're not missing out on anything, okay? We're playing Fortnite in the living room. I got a battle royale one time.
But
It
he's
was
not
lit.
the center.
But you're not there.
Correct.
Okay, and are we worried about you? No, because you're at work.
Right.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, it was just a more comfortable situation.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah,
was.
100%,
We'd
yeah.
have dance parties.
Yeah.
Like, I
Wow.
would let his son, like, I was kind of one of those parents that I didn't love for him to play online
Mm-hmm.
because of the things that people would say.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so it was really important to me that, I mean, it was a big deal when he got to get a headset for his game, you know? And so before he had the headset, I was easing into letting him start to play online. But I was like, I want to hear the things that are being said. And I wanted to talk with him about like, this is not an appropriate comment.
Yeah.
Okay, like this is trust right now, right? Like I don't ever want to hear you talking like that, you know?
Yeah.
I understand you want to play online. That's the fun part. Your friends. This is like a trust thing. So I wanted to talk with him about it. So I played Fortnite with him in the living room.
Yeah.
Because it was cool too.
Yeah.
And then his daughter, like, she just loved to dance and she was very artistic. And so, I mean, it was just a really fun, relaxing time. Like, bedtime was never a problem. We didn't have tears. I mean, it just was really chill. Like, it was really nice.
Yeah.
You know, and then I would put the kids to bed, and sometimes, you know, and this was not an intentional thing. Of course, these are his children, but sometimes there were times that he could not tell them goodnight because he couldn't step off or he couldn't get away. But like, I'm not keeping my kids up till 10:30 on school night because you
Right.
are not available at bedtime.
Right.
We're on a schedule. Like, baby, we had a schedule. We were doing
Yeah.
well. And so, you know, we would talk on the phone, and every conversation was just an argument. You know, this just sucks. This just sucks because, you know, you guys are there and, you know, I'm not even get off until 3. And like, I can even understand being disappointed, but the actual literal like sulking and, I mean,
The poor me, woe
the
is me.
woe is me bullshit was just like, I had zero patience for that.
Yeah.
Like, I had zero patience for that, you know?
Yeah.
And it really got to the point where I was like, I don't even want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, call me when you're having a better day.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know? Just like, call me when you're having a better day.
Yeah. That would be the word. Yeah.
Just call me when you're having a better day. So, anywho,
So you guys weren't even really seeing each other.
no.
Because he's working overnight, you're working during the day.
Yes. So then, of course, that's causing problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, like, let's say it was the weekend or it was like a day off or something like that. Like, I mean, it's not like we really went out and did a whole bunch of stuff. Like, we just didn't, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? He didn't want to.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, if I wanted to ever go do anything, it was that, you know, I cared more about my friends than I did him.
Oh,
Yeah.
you got
I
too
cared more.
many- Too many friends.
Oh yeah, like cared more about my friends than I cared about him, or, you know, prioritized my family over him. You know, it really got to the point to where I had a friend who would tell me all the time, like, Stesha, you are not an old lady. And she was saying that in the sense of like, why don't, like, we would get invited to go hang out with other married couples, and he didn't want to do that.
Absolutely.
He didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, really at this point, it's like there's so much isolation happening.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, all we do is just like sit at home, and I'm just like scrolling on Facebook and just drinking my wine and, you know, just smoking my cigarettes. And I mean, there's just really nothing happening. So when the days that he'd be off, those would also be arguments because, you know, I'm just like on my phone, like we're spending, like we're together, right? But it's like, oh, now my phone's the problem. Always on your damn phone, you know. Always social media. Oh, Miss Queen Bee over there. You know, I'm like, so, you know, all my friends. I gotta talk to all my friends. I mean, I literally have a video of him. I had to start doing that because I was just like, look at how you act.
Wow. Yeah.
Look at how you act. And he's just mocking me. I don't want to delete Facebook because I don't care about my husband. I care more about my friends and my social media. And I was just like, I was actually humming in the background of the video. Because I was just like, you're so fucking weird, dude.
You just a badass bitch, ain't you?
And when he would have these moments, I would just be sitting in the front. Because it was like we would always sit outside because we smoked, you know. So it's like constantly outside or whatever. And I was like, don't you want to be a tree? And he just looked at me, and I was like, look at how big and beautiful that tree is. But I was really serious.
Yeah.
I was like, that is like the most beautiful, fluffiest freaking tree I've ever seen. It's so green. I was like, isn't the sky so blue today? Like, it's just, I'm like,
They can't stay to see you happy, you know?
I was like, it's just so beautiful. I'm like, what do you think birds think? Like, what do you think they're thinking? I was like, you think they'd be talking to each other? And this man's looking at me like, bitch, you've lost it. And I have, honey, I have lost it. Because what do you do? Like, I'm unwell at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not well.
Yeah.
You are insane.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what do you want me to do when you're on these tangents? Like, I don't, like at this point, I'm just kind of like, the grass is great.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy dinner last? You know, like, and I'm like interrupting him. Isn't that
understand.
tree beautiful?
Yeah.
That's such a beautiful tree.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like a level of de-escalation, but also like very much trying to convey, like, I'm not fucking listening to a damn thing you're saying.
Absolutely.
I'm not even listening to you. I'm in here somewhere else, doing something else.
You're not entertaining it.
At all.
You're not entertaining it.
At
Yeah.
all. I'm just not, and I'm not going to. I'm good on it, bruv.
Yeah.
I'm good. And so that was kind of like what I had started to try to do, you know, like when things would start to escalate and when things would start to like become out of control. And so, November, it's my birthday. It's my birthday month. And he was out of town and for work or like working overnight or something. And I went and had dinner with my parents and my sister. And so, like, I'm having dinner, having a nice day. Like, my dad took me to dinner. It was super nice. Nice little evening. And we get back to his house, and he calls me. Mind you, it's my birthday. My birthday. We're doing the woe is me bullshit. I just can't believe that I can't be there. You know, I just can't believe that you haven't even really talked to me this evening. It's my fucking birthday.
I'm with my parents.
And like, what are you even doing? I'm like, I'm literally having dinner with my parents. Like, I'm with my family right now. So of course then, you know,
That's to ruin it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally so angry. Like we got into like a really pretty decent, like verbal argument on the phone while this man is at work. And it was so bad that I guess my sister had planned, like secretly, she went and got cupcakes, like special cupcakes for my birthday. They were like already in my fridge at my house. I had no idea. Had contacted all my girlfriends and they were all supposed to meet over at my house for my birthday. We were just supposed to have a girls' night. So Alana had to tell me because she was like, do you even want company? Like at this point. That made me so angry. Because I'm just like, you ruin everything. Like you literally, there can be, we can't even have nice things because you ruin everything. You ruin everything. Everything's about you. Oh my gosh, I was so angry. And my friends did end up coming over, but then of course, like the entire evening is just like about how like, I can't believe how he acts. And this is, by the way, this is what's been going on in my life for the last few months. You know what I mean? Like, happy birthday though.
Yeah.
Like so frustrated, like angry, just like truly angry. And yeah, that sucked. But that was very par for the course, you know, very par for the course. So I'm checking the mail like a couple days later, and I see that he's got like something. I knew it was something financial, and I wanted to open it because we're married and I can.
Right.
And so I open it, and it's the it's the car payment stuff. The car payment notices, you know. What do they call those things? I don't know why I can't think of the proper word for it, but I'm gonna say invoice, but it's not. Statement.
No.
Yeah.
2 months behind.
On his
Brand new car.
that he had just got that August.
2 months behind.
And we're in November.
2 months behind. So I take a picture of it. I just send it on over. Just in case you were. I just wanted to make sure you were aware, my liege. Just wanted to make sure you knew, okay, that you're 2 months behind on your car payment, and Christmas is next month. We have kids.
Yeah.
I forgot. I'm just wondering what you want to do about that. Okay.
He handled it by not paying.
So then, additionally, there's more mail. I'm like, what's happening here? Bethany payday loans. Sending notices. You're behind on that too. I'm like, we have payday loans? I had no idea. So we're 2 months behind on our card. I guess we have payday loans. Didn't know. Don't even know how many. I just know we're like $250 behind. Okay. Christmas is next month. We have kids. We have bills. What the fuck are you doing? What's happening here? You know, and I honestly think this is a really important thing to talk about too, because I feel like a lot of times people can be in situations where they think like their finances are being taken care of, and then they find out like your finances are not being taken care of. And then of course strangers on the outside want to be like, well, how could you not know? You cannot know.
Yeah.
You can. It's not an unusual thing to not know, right? Like especially when you're being told, I'm handling this. I got this taken care of. Like
That's what I'm saying. Add gaslighting on top of that too. Like
My mother's third husband, the one that was like super abusive, they had this nice ass house in Rivendell, and like, I mean, gorgeous house. They had been in it for years. My mom came home one day to a notice on their door
oh wow.
saying that their house was being foreclosed on. And my mother's like one of the most financially responsible people I've ever met in my life. If there is anybody that can make a dollar stretch,
she can.
that is her. So my mother is not one to let anything like lapse, and she works hard, like genuinely, she always has. But the house payment itself was not the thing that she took care of.
Yeah, it's like that's just not well. And at this point, it's like you're taking care of your car, I'm taking care of my car. Like, I think that our car insurance was still together, but like the house, the mortgage was like I did everything else.
Yeah.
Because I had to. Like, I was like, baby, okay, we're not getting the lights cut off in here, okay?
Yeah.
So then at that point, like, your job is to take care of the mortgage, right? And then just to know, like, what's your plan, brother? Brothers and sisters, we have a problem.
So we're like looking at like $1,800 behind.
Definitely.
If not more than that, because
then you got late fees,
we
got payday loans going on. So
Now,
what
did he end up taking care of the house payment?
I guess.
Okay.
Here's what I think happened, actually. He went and got the payday loan to pay the mortgage.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
That is what happened. That I know for a fact.
Right.
Because I read this stuff and I called them people.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, you want a payment? I have it, but can you tell me what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. And he did it multiple times. And my thing is like, there's no shade to people who have to do things like that, but it's not an appropriate thing to do within your marriage and not communicate. Like,
Correct.
what are you doing? Where's the money?
Right.
Yeah.
Woo!
And those payday loans have the
Oh my
worst
God,
interest.
highest interest
The
of all
worst
time.
interest.
You know?
Yeah.
And then now you're working a job where you're making significantly less money because than you were before.
Yeah.
Like crazy town. So what did I do in response to that? I went shopping. I was like, you know what? I'm going shopping. I'm gonna go shopping. Christmas is coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was my money that I spent, you know,
Yeah.
but I spent like $950 on Christmas decorations.
Wow.
I love that.
And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna create what I've always wanted. Like I've always wanted lights on the house. I always wanted to have cute little things in the front yard. I bought brand new pillows for my couch.
Oh my
I got new
God.
bar stools.
Yeah.
I got new decorations. I got the kids a cute little Santa Claus is coming to town countdown because I always wanted them to have that. I went insane. I was like,
I feel like, wow.
yes, baby, we're gonna have all the beautiful things. Honestly, it was like creating this fake facade, right? Like this is happy in here.
Yeah.
I didn't care though. It was $950 on freaking Christmas decorations.
Damn. Like literally, I did that. That's wild.
So I come home and I'm like, you know, setting all my stuff up because it's so cute. It's gonna be so cute.
Yeah,
I can't even
yeah.
wait. Like it's gonna be so great. And I call him and I was like, we need to talk, buddy. And one thing I think is really important to note about me for people who don't know me, I never start out on 10, ever.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
That is like a progressional thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like once I reach 10, it's like, bro, I have really tried my best. I really tried my best to either remove myself from the situation, shut it down. Like reaching 10 is like you really wanted to take it there then. Like you really, really wanted me to arrive there. So when I called him about the finances, of course the first thing is, why the fuck are you opening my mail? And I was like, I'm sorry, we're married. I'll open whatever the fuck I want to open. That's against the law. Are you joking? You're 2 months behind on your car payment, bud. Fuck the law.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stay on track here. Let's talk about what we need to talk about, right? So I took the time to write out every bill that he had on this piece of paper. A budget. This is how this needs to be taken care of. And at the end of the and I sent him a picture of it because you know he's out of town. And then I said to him, how do you think that we're going to handle Christmas? Seriously.
Yeah.
Every dime that we have is like going to bills now.
Mm-hmm.
Every fucking dime we have is going to bills. And it didn't have to be that way.
Right.
Right.
And, you know, I'm not that, like, I love Christmas and I don't, like, we've never created like this crazy, extravagant situation. But at the end of the day, like, the kids still believe in Santa Claus. Like, what are we supposed to just tell them, like, hey, you don't get to have, and we had them Christmas Eve that year.
Mm-hmm.
So this was going to be like one of the first times they woke up at our house.
Mm-hmm.
Like Santa Claus came to town, baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then I was really excited to like do the cookies and like create that experience for them. You know what I mean? And of course, this man doesn't have an answer for me. And I'm a problem solver. So I was like, let's talk about what we want to do for Christmas then, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I had already, like, the kids did not have TVs in their room. That was the year that I wanted to get them TV.
You wanted to get them like a chair and gaming chairs and
Yes,
TVs,
I wanted to get
the
him,
kids.
I wanted to get
Yeah.
the kids TVs.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted his son to have a gaming chair.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted, you know, there was just certain things that, like, I wanted to help create in their rooms. You know, I wanted his daughter to have this beautiful princess. It was so freaking cute. It was like a princess tent and there was like lights around it and stuff. And anyways, so I purchased these things and I put them on my credit card.
Mm.
You know, I mean, I had no choice. Like, I had to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, have a conversation with my ex-husband, and we get into an argument because I will not send him spicy pictures while he's out of town.
Spicy. This is not the Spice Girls.
No, the other spicy.
I know, I was just
And
like cayenne pepper spicy?
right, paprika. Is paprika even spicy? I don't know.
Creole.
I don't know.
I don't even.
Old Bay is that spicy? I don't know. And so we're like arguing about this on the phone. It's like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. Okay.
That's all that matters.
And I'm just like, I don't want to. Like, I'm not comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're just arguing about it. And I was just like, I'm like so fed up. I was like, I want a divorce. Like, I want a divorce, dude. And, you know, of course, like, but I'm, like, very serious about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm very, like, this is insane. Like, I'm not happy. Like, I'm not happy. And so, of course, we talk about it. But, like, I go to work after the next couple days, and I, like, typed our divorce decree. And I typed the petition. And I sent him a copy of it. And I'm like, can you please look over this? Like, do you agree? And, you know, of course, we're going back and forth. And then the more logical side of me comes in and is like, okay, what about your house, though? What are you going to do about the house? You guys haven't lived here long enough. You don't have enough equity. So there was always some reason why, you know, maybe I didn't follow through. I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to get a divorce at Christmas time. That sucks, right?
Mm.
So I decided to, like, stay. You know, I didn't follow through with that. But I was serious when I said it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Christmas Day comes around, and we did the whole bit. I'm sorry, Christmas Eve. This is Christmas Eve. We always go to my papa's house for Christmas Eve, and I wanted to have like matching pajamas because, like, you know, we're trying to
Yeah.
do the whole bit or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just so stressful. Like, everything is, you know, he's got to do his hair, you know what I'm saying? He's got to make sure he's looking good, smelling good. Like, we're always waiting on him because he's just like,
Yeah.
you know, we gotta do all the things, okay? And I'm like, are we ready to go? Like, are you ready to go? Like, can we get in the car? And he's like, well, do you think you want to ride by yourself? Like, do you think you want to drive yourself? And in my mind, I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also felt like, is this a trap?
Yeah. Is that like a trick question?
Yeah, like, if I do that, are you then going to be like, oh, you don't even care about me on Christmas Eve? And, you know, like, I didn't understand. Like, I felt like I was being set up for something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, something that was going to be like an argument later on. And I was like, no, we could just ride together. Like, as a family, it's fine.
Yeah.
I think maybe you should, like, ride by yourself. And I was just like, what is the deal? Like, why are you being weird? Like, that's really what I, you know, I'm like, what is the problem?
Somebody else.
So he's like getting so upset. And then he's like, your Christmas presents are in the car, okay? And I was like, okay. It's Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Like, I'm sorry. You know, I didn't want you to see him. I was going to put him in the house. You know, I was trying to get him out of my car, and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go. You take care of what you need to take care of. I'm going to go. So I drive myself to my papa's house. Him and the kids meet me there. We have a lovely evening, I'm sure. So we get home, and I had found a YouTube app, like, or video, whatever, and it shows, like, Santa Claus, and it's, like, all over the world and stuff. And I actually got a picture of it saying Oklahoma City on the screen.
Oh.
It was way cool. So I'm telling the kids, I'm like, all right, Santa Claus can't come down until we go to bed. You know? I'm like, let's put out our cookies, let's do our thing. So the kids, they go to bed, and we're up until, like, 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, I kind of like to stage the bigger things, like, you know, if I can, or, you know, we're wrapping stuff, whatever. And so we go to sleep. And I think it was probably like 8. It had been like 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, kids are, they're like having the butt crack.
Yeah.
And here's what I also thought was really funny is that I know they probably woke up at 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were kind enough to not
Yeah.
like really come knock on the door till
Yeah.
like 8, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, Santa Claus came. Their little baby faces, they were just so excited. They were so happy. And my ex-husband walks out of the room and tells them to go, and it was not in a kind tone, to go back upstairs and wait. Because he wanted to have coffee and he wanted to smoke a cigarette.
It's Christmas Day.
It's Christmas Day. We have children.
But he has to ruin it somehow.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I said, what are you doing? And he was like, well, and I also thought that you and I could like have a moment together and like open our gifts together by ourselves.
Yep.
Okay. No. So I literally looked at him and I said, we're not making the children wait for us for nothing. I said, I don't care about your cigarette. I don't care about coffee. I'm an avid coffee drinker. I drink it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're coming downstairs. So I walked around the corner. I said, children, come on downstairs, please.
Yeah.
And we proceeded to have Christmas morning.
Yeah.
So, of course, that set the tone for the day, baby. It sure did. Because I'm trash because I don't want to make them go upstairs and so we can have our little moment together. We're adults.
Right.
Like, we can have our moment whenever the fuck. We could have waited until they went home if you wanted to have a moment. Like, everything about today is about the kids. Really, everything's about the kids all the time.
Right.
Like, why just so selfish? But then I felt like, he anticipated or expected that I would be like, oh my God, a moment?
For sure.
No.
But you already peeped at a game, you know what I'm saying?
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You have been looking forward to Christmas morning with the children just as much as the children have been looking
Yeah.
forward to Christmas
Right.
morning.
I was just
Like-
like, this is what I'm living
Yeah.
for. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Like Santa came, but what is your
Yes.
problem?
I just to see their joy was like, and I will never forget the look on their face of confusion of like, we have to go back upstairs?
yeah.
Right.
No, you don't. Get down here. Come on down.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put my happy face on because before I like.
Right.
So that set the tone for the rest of the day. Of course, we fought all day. Low key. It was like low key fighting all day, The children ended up going back to their mom's house because she got the second part of like the Christmas thing or whatever. And, during this time is going to be like the first like technically physical moment that we have. And so we are in the garage, and when I tell you the respect is just so out the window,
Yeah.
the respect is just so out the window.
Yeah.
The respect is so out the window, like done.
Yeah.
And I want to say we were fighting over my cleaning business. I don't know. It was always like, why were we talking about that? It was a topic of conversation before, like, why is my name on the business? Why isn't my name on the business? And I'm like, because it's not. It's my business.
Right. It's mine.
It's my business, and I don't want your name on it.
Yeah.
And so we were in the garage, and we're like, it's uppity and it's cold as F outside because the garage was down, and I hated smoking with the garage down. And this man lit his lighter and put it this close to my face like he was going to burn me. And I punched his ass.
Good for you.
And I was crying because I was like, are you joking? Like, I could not believe that.
Yeah.
You're going to burn me? Like, I was like, literally, I could not believe that. I mean, he was this close.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to burn me? Like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I was just like, wow, okay, yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like feeling the heat
Yeah.
on my skin. Unbelievable. It was unbelievable to me. Unbelievable to me. Of course, we're like, verbally arguing in the house, all that kind of shit, whatever. And that was like such a moment for me. That was such a moment for me because I was just like, this is really where we are. Like, you want to physically hurt me. You want to physically hurt me. Like, I don't really care for you, but there's really not, like I don't really want to physically hurt you. Do I want to be out of this marriage? Yeah. Can I not stand you? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I would never put fire. That's crazy. Anyways,
Yeah.
It's just totally nuts to me. So it's getting to be like the end of the year, like end of December. I say end of the year, end of December, and baby girl is miserable. I'm starting to like really just reflect on just the things that have happened. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, there has to be a change. Like, I feel that, whether that's like an individual change, like we have tried counseling, we had tried separating, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, things are just not improving. There just really has to be a change. Like, I have brought up divorce at this point multiple times, but not following through with it. And I'm just starting to feel that. What am I going to do? Like, I don't know. I don't really know what I'm going to do, but I'm just like, I'm starting to feel that within myself. And so, December 31st. Yeah, because, New Year's Day, right? January 1st.
Yeah.
Okay. We didn't have kids. So I had planned to like make this like really nice meal. Like I looked it up on, what's it called? The internet. And I was going to cook this really nice meal. And so my sister, she reached out to me and she was like, hey, I'm going to be by myself on New Year's Eve. Like, would it be okay if I came over and in the new year with me and my ex-husband? And I was like really scared to ask him.
Yeah.
I was really even scared to like ask him if that would be okay because I just felt like he was, oh, it's always about your family. It's always, and honestly, it was causing me so much anxiety. Shade of rail.
He's good. He's just sneaking.
It was causing me so much anxiety that I was actually crying while I was cooking our dinner because I felt like I couldn't even enjoy our evening because I was like, why do I feel like I can't just ask you if my sister can come over?
Yeah. Yep. I know, like, I can feel, like, what you're feeling. Like, I know that feeling. Because it's like, it shouldn't be a big deal, but for whatever reason it is.
Right. And so, he's, like, really in a great mood. And he asked me what was wrong with me. And I said, well, like, Alana's reached out to me. And, this is the situation. And it makes me sad to think that she would be by herself. I'd really like if she could come over to ring in the. I mean, I'm like genuinely like talking like this, and he's like, it's fine.
Immediately changed.
So I text her and I'm like, yeah, you can come over. Like you can come over, and so she does. And so we're sitting in the living room. Like, we're watching a movie, or because we didn't have cable at this time. And so we're, like, watching a movie and, watching the clock and different things like that. And so, like, he's just, like, on his phone constantly, like, just constantly on his phone, quiet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you could just tell the energy is just so off. Like, it's just completely off. And so he goes into the garage to smoke. Well, it's about to be New Year's, like, right now. It's like 11:58. And so something that I did with my mom when I was a kid, we'd grab pots and pans, and us kids would get to go out in the front and, like, bang the pans and yell Happy New Year. And so my sister and I thought it would be funny, like, if we did that as, like, adults,
Yeah.
And so I'm, like, looking for him. I'm like, where's he at? Where's he at? And it strikes 12. And so my sister and I are like, Happy New Year! And he's nowhere to be found. And I was like, wow, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
So I walk into the garage and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And he's like, you know, all I wanted was for us to be able to have an evening together. And, you know, now your sister's here. And, you know, he bought these like little mini champagne bottles and stuff. And so then like, I'm kind of starting to feel bad because I'm like, you know, but then I'm like, I asked you. Like I asked you if it was okay, and you told me yes, and so now I'm being punished because like, but I knew it was going to be like that, and that is why I was anxious to ask him to begin with. I knew it was going to be like that, you know? And so we're literally having like this insane argument, and Alana had already gone upstairs to go to sleep. We're having this insane argument, and we're in the bedroom with the door shut because like I wasn't trying to argue and have her hear us and stuff like that, and you know, we're arguing, and this man fucking throws my ass across the bed. Just throws me across the room. I actually had a partial tear in my rotator cuff because of that. It took a year for that injury to heal. Like, I could not sleep like this. I could not raise my, like, it was like nuts. And so then I like threw the laundry basket because I was like, okay, so we're just gonna be throwing shit, throw me across the room. Like that was like my response to that, you know? And he goes upstairs to go stay in his son's room, to like go sleep in his son's room. And I cannot even believe this. I just can't believe this shit is happening. Okay?
Right.
I just can't even believe it. So that evening did not end well, and I was thinking that my sister probably heard us like screaming and yelling, but he ended up sleeping in his son's room, and I slept downstairs, and I woke up the next morning and I was like, woo, that sucks, you know? Yeah. But it was January 1st, and I said, this cannot be. This cannot be. This literally cannot be like this. So I took every Christmas decoration down, which I normally not like in a huge rush to do that, but like I took every single Christmas decoration down. I moved this big ass tree. We got a real tree. We always did a real tree by myself out of the living room, put it out to the curb. I'm cleaning, doing all this stuff, and he's upstairs still. He'd come downstairs, like maybe get some coffee, maybe do something, maybe go outside to smoke or something like that. But like we were not speaking. And I just honestly, it was so interesting after all the Christmas stuff was gone because like, you know, I spent $900 on that. And it was bare. It was like, look, this is real here. All that shit is gone. This is what's very real. Is what like just these empty walls. This cold, bare house. Just.
You had made it a home. You know what I mean?
I tried my best.
Yeah. Was your sister still there at this point?
No, she had left already.
Okay.
And so I'm like scrolling on Facebook and I see that the church that I used to go to, and I actually really like the pastor of this church. He's a really good person. They were doing like a fast for New Year's. And so I thought to myself, I was like, maybe I think I'm going to participate in that. And so I thought, I'm going to fast alcohol. Like, I'm going to stop drinking. Like, I need to stop drinking, actually.
Yeah.
And so, don't ever do this, by the way, for the viewers. It's not safe. I asked my friend Jasmine if she'd be my accountability partner. And I got a journal, and I stopped drinking. Picked a day, and I was like, today's the day. We're done. I'm done with it. And it was difficult. It was actually really quite difficult. You know, I experienced headaches.
Yeah.
I was not sleeping. I was having night sweats. Also still actively fighting with my husband. And I would have to go sit in my closet and shut the door and just journal. And I'd have to call her and she'd pray with me over the phone. And anytime I had an urge to drink, I just went and sat in my closet and I journaled in the closet. And I was like, you know, this has to be. But you want to know what is so interesting? When your mind is clear, okay, you see things for what they are, for what they really are.
When that veil is lifted, man.
And so at this point, not only am I not drinking, but then I had actively decided, like, where did that come from? I'm like looking at myself in the mirror. And I was just like, look at your body. Like, look at what you've done to your body. You know, I mean, here I am just like through the course of things, just like, oh, I'm a size large now. Oh, I'm a size extra large now. Oh, I'm a size 16, which is, there's no problem with any of those sizes.
Right.
But for me, it's like, how did we get here? Like, you know, I'm looking at my body and I'm like, I just don't even know. This is crazy.
Right.
And so there was a nutrition shop right down the street from our house, and they sold like the little shakes and stuff. So I started going in there on my lunch break. You know, I'm not drinking. I'm like, I'm gonna be healthy. Like, I need to take care of myself. And then they were like, hey, we have like little workout classes here on Saturdays. And I was like, really? And they're free. Like, they just want you to buy a shake. And I was like, oh my gosh, what a great opportunity.
Yeah.
So now I'm doing that too. And I'm starting to just kind of like really throw myself into like betterment, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that was a problem.
Of course.
That's a problem, folks.
Yeah, it is important.
Because it was like, how was your workout class today? It was great. The instructor, he was Yes, the instructor was a man. A very gay man. But a man nonetheless. I was like, I'm not his flavor. Not that it should even matter. And that's what irritated me, right?
Yeah.
And that's what the argument was about. I was like, it shouldn't, like, come with me then.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to go, then let's go. Come on. If it's such a problem, you know? And so he just absolutely it was such a problem in that particular day when talking about the male instructor. And so I remember, like, in the middle of the argument, I just casted a yoga video to the TV because I was like, I need to stretch after my workout. And I just let this man like pout and stomp around, and he was like talking, and I'm just like in child's pose, like
Yes. Unbothered as fuck. Yeah.
and also sober.
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally, like, I'm not doing it with you, friend.
Yeah.
I'm not, you know. I had lost like 30 freaking pounds in the month of January.
Wow.
It was like really amazing. I was amazed at the transformation in such a short period of time just by not drinking.
Yeah.
You know, and then changing my eating habits. And then I also kind of felt like, wow, I kind of like a little fitness community. Like, it was cool, because I would also go during the week. I started going in the evening times. And I'm like just meeting people, like other women, and we're just doing the drumming.
What
and
is
the
it
ball.
to be social?
Right?
Yeah, like I really felt, because he had truly created this insane space of isolation. Like, I like, if my friend's like, hey, you want, I'm like,
That's a part of coercive control.
Yeah.
You know, like I had gotten invited one time, or not one time, but I got invited to go to my friend Jasmine, the one I've been referencing, to her bachelorette party. And at one point they were thinking about going to Vegas. And I was talking to him about it, and I've never been to Vegas. Me either. And it's not about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it became so very clear. I want to say we might even argue about that.
Right.
And I'm just discussing it with him. Like, I'm not even saying I'm going, not going. Like, I'm just discussing it at this point. And it just became so clear, like, that was not going to be, like, okay with him.
Sure.
But it would even be like that if I wanted to go visit my mom. You know, I'd go out of state, go visit my mom. And it's, well, you haven't talked to me all day. Or, you know, what are you doing? Why haven't you called? I'm like, I'm with my family, dude. And so it just became easier to just not do anything, because I don't want to deal with you, and like I don't want to deal with like,
That was the safer choice.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I just don't want to deal with you. And so,
Which is their ultimate goal and what they want, to isolate you so bad where
well, you're all they
you,
have.
correct, and they become the center of your world. You know, that's that superiority complex. Everybody I have to be the center of everything and everyone, and if I'm not, I'm going to find a way to interject myself. I'm going to ruin it, because I'm going to get you to a point to where you become so emotionally reactive where you don't have the energy to even want to go anymore.
Oh no, it was not worth it. Yeah, it just wasn't even worth it.
Yeah.
Like, it just wasn't even worth it. And so my friend gets engaged. She has an engagement party. He doesn't come with me. But you better believe the whole time I'm there, and this is my best friend. Like, there's nothing in the world that I would have flown in to be there. And I would have never missed it. And he was just pouting. Well, I just been sitting at home all day. You could have came. You could have came. You could have been there, bruv. Like, it was just, and the very last straw, the very, very last straw for me, where my mind said, I don't actually care how you feel anymore, was I got invited to Jasmine's husband's surprise birthday party. And I wore leather pants and like a bigger shirt or whatever. I was cute, girl. I had leather boots on, honey. My hair was curly. It was cute. And I was feeling a lot better about myself.
Right.
Also at this point too. And so when my ex-husband and I met, when we first met, I told you he took me shopping. He bought me a pair of leather pants. Well, he loved when I wore the leather pants. But now, that's a problem. So I'm getting ready in the room, and I like go to tell him that I'm leaving, and I'm like, hey, this is where the dinner's gonna be at and stuff like that. And he's like, that's what you're wearing? I was like, yeah, this is what I'm wearing. And so then I'm like, okay, bye. Like, I'm gonna go because I don't have time for this right now. Like, I'm gonna be late. It's a surprise birthday party, you know? And again, like, could have came, didn't want to, fine, you know, fine. So I'm in the car, and he comes out to my car before I pull out of the driveway, and he's like, you need to share your fucking location with me. And I was like, no. And I went back to the driveway. I was like, no. I said, I will drop a pin to you when I get to where I'm going, but no, I'm not. And here's the deal, I didn't have a problem with that.
Right.
But no.
Yeah.
No. So I get to the birthday party, I drop a pin, and of course I'm all these things, you know, like I'm untrustworthy, I don't even really know, you know, like,
what do we even have in common anymore?
you know, all of these freaking things. I couldn't even enjoy being at the dinner because of just blowing my phone up, just text after
That's
text
the point.
after text after text after text. And at that point, I was just like, I'm done with this. Like, I'm gonna just do what I want to do. And the course of the next couple of weeks, my sister wanted to get her nose pierced, and I had my nose pierced, like, when I met him. And I thought, you know what, I have a job now where I can have a nose piercing. Like, I think I'd like to have that back. Like, I think I'd like to do that again, you know? And so she's over at the house, and I tell him, I was like, hey, Lana wants to get her nose pierced, and I'm gonna go with her, and I'm gonna get my nose pierced. And he's like, I think you'd look ridiculous with a nose piercing. And I said, that's so weird because you met me with one. I said, but I'm not doing it for you. I said, I'm doing it for me. So anyways, I'll see you later. Get in the car, girl, and we went. And I didn't have my nose pierced since. Because I was just like, I look ridiculous with a nose piercing. Yeah. Like, you met me with one.
Trying to belittle you.
Oh, yeah. For sure. And like, I feel like he also felt like your control was dwindling. And so, yeah, went to go get my nose pierced with my sister. And I remember we were in the car on the way to go do that, and my sister was like, you're different. But like in a positive way. She was like, you're different. I could tell you're like a little bit different. And that was such a compliment to me.
Yeah.
I don't even think she knows at that moment like what a huge compliment that was to me, because I had been trying so hard, you know?
Yeah.
And
to be recognized
for the effort.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? And so February 12th, it might have been Valentine's Day. I was just done. And he was out in the garage, and I walked out there, and I was like, I want a divorce. And I was so calm. And I just said, you know, I'm not happy. There's no way that you can be happy. There's no way you're happy. Like, you can't be.
Yeah.
Like, that would be insane, right? And I just told him, I said, you know, we don't have to be ugly to each other. We don't have to financially ruin each other. You know, we can put the house up for sale, and we'll just, you know, we can stay here obviously because we need to, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to leave it up to you, and, you know, vice versa, whatever. Like, we can just be very amicable and just go our separate ways. And he's telling me at this point, he's like, I don't want a divorce. And I'm like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's reflect on the last 2.5 years here, my friend. This is not love.
Mm-hmm.
This is not healthy. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I do want a divorce. I didn't yell not one time during that conversation. And basically the conversation ended and he said, I hope you die.
Wow.
And I said, okay. Okay. And I just walked into the house, and I mean, I don't know if I went into the room or if I just like sat on the couch, but like, we didn't speak. And then he went upstairs because he was staying, you know, in his son's room, and I think it was maybe 48 hours after that. Like, you know, again, your girl stays when work. Okay, honey, I'm a hustler. I don't be calling it for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm talking to my sister on the phone, like, this is truly like a couple days after, like, we had that conversation, and I walk into my house and everything's gone. All of his stuff is gone. Kids' rooms totally cleared out. All of my stuff was still there, thankfully, you know, but gone. No warning, no nothing, just totally gone. And I remember walking through the door, and I was on the phone with Alana, and I said, holy shit. And she's like, what? And I was like, he left. And honest to God, I don't really know how I don't know how to describe how I felt in the moment. Like, it wasn't like joy, but it wasn't sadness.
Mm-hmm.
Slight relief.
Yeah.
But scared too.
Sure.
Because I'm like, this is real this time. I meant what, and I was serious, and I meant what I said.
Yeah.
You know, that day I had actually been trying to figure out like how to put the house up for sale, and like, you know, what I needed to do and all that kind of stuff. And so anyways, that was the last time I talked to him for the next 8 months. Didn't see him, didn't talk to him, nothing. I did reach out to him because I ended up breaking both of my elbows like a couple weeks after that. In a roller like skating incident. We can laugh about it now. I was like totally splinted like this. It was nuts. And my mom had to like come in and like take care of me and everything. And so I sent him a picture of myself in the splints, and I said, well, I didn't die, but pretty close. Because I kind of thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, that's funny,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And he didn't respond to it. And I will also say that evening, I did have a moment where this is the exact situation that he would have thrived in. I have 2 broken elbows. I cannot do anything for myself. I need you.
Mm-hmm.
I am solely dependent on your assistance right now. Like, I need you.
Mm-hmm.
And although that is kind of
You still would have been doing it by yourself, though.
Yeah.
and although that's kind of a sad thing to say, I'm not gonna lie, like I had a moment where I felt like maybe I was too much. Maybe I, you know,
Mm-hmm.
here we go again, right? With that mindset. And so I texted him and I said, you know, I do really wish that you could be here to help me in this moment. Like, I feel like you would be thriving in this moment. And I texted that to him. And I think it was kind of like with an I miss you type tone, like, and that's honest, you know? And so he never responded to me, and that was the universe protecting me.
Yeah.
because I cannot sit here in good faith and look either of you in your face and say that if he would not have responded to me in that moment, that we would have truly gotten divorced and truly separated like we did.
Yeah.
I can't say that without any confidence, because there was so much fear that has now like going, like, I have to put this house up for sale. I mean, he left all the trash. He took all the things, but he left all the trash. So we had to do a big trash day. I mean, I had to paint. There was so much stuff to do, and I couldn't do any of it because I had 2 freaking broken elbows. Mm-hmm. And shout out to my sister, my literal best friend, like my soulmate. She did all of that. Mm-hmm. She painted basically every room in that house. I mean, she did everything because I could not. Mm-hmm. And thank God, like, you know, I got the house sold, and that was that, you know. Mm-hmm.
So did y'all end up going to court? Like, how did that work?
No, so we were separated for almost a year before I actually filed our divorce paperwork.
Okay.
When I sold our house, I moved in with my dad because I had taken on so much credit card debt from like Christmas,
right,
and all the different stuff, you know, and it was like credit score trash.
Yeah.
And I needed to rebuild myself. And so I went to my dad and I was like, 90 days. That's all I need, 90 days. Mm-hmm. And my dad, of course, was like, girl,
yeah,
I ain't worried about how long you stay in here. Like, you can stay here, you know.
Right.
But as an adult, like, you don't want to live with your parents. Like,
yeah.
you really don't, you know, unless you like have to.
Right, yeah.
And so, paid off all my stuff, got a rent house with my sister in August of 2019. And I reached out to him because I was like, taxes.
Oh, yeah.
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 I was like, shit, how does that work? Like, we've not lived together for more than 6 months of the year. Like, can we file separate? Like, what do we do? Like,
because you guys were still married during that time. Yes. Okay.
And so I was like, hey, can you call me? You know? So he calls me, and I'm like, hey, what do you want to do about taxes? And so we're having like a fairly decent and cordial conversation, you know? Mm-hmm. Totally talking about it. He's like, tell me about the kids. He sent me pictures of their first day of school. Their mom and her, I think they might have been engaged at that point. Her fiance, like, they had moved in together. Like, everybody seemed really happy and like great, you know?
But during that time that you guys were not together anymore, you hadn't had any contact.
No contact, not seeing them.
So I want to pause with that, because how did that affect you? Because these are children that you took in as your own and ended up being forced into a position of raising children that became your own, and then to not have them in your space anymore. How did that feel, and how did that affect you?
Well, it was shitty. I was really upset by the way that he chose to leave, because like 1 weekend you were here and now you don't live here anymore. Mm-hmm. And I felt like that was very selfish, and it made me really angry, because I was just like, this is not how you do things with children. Like, there should have been a conversation. We should have talked to them, and allowed them to express their feelings.
Yeah, but you just fine, so they have to be fine.
Yeah, you just removed them. You know what I mean? Although their mom and I were cordial, like, I didn't feel like we were cordial enough for me to just reach out to her,
right?
To kind of like say goodbye. And honestly, I guess I just sort of was like, this is literally my thoughts. There's gonna come a time when, hopefully, if I was the positive impact that I really, really tried to be, not perfect, made some pretty terrible mistakes, but if I was a positive person in their space like I really, really tried to be, then maybe they'll they'll find me one day and reach out to me and like want to chat, or they might have questions, or maybe they'll be like, hey, it was really shitty that you moved in and moved out a couple of times and like took our couches and we didn't know what was going on and we didn't really appreciate that. And I would be okay with that too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's just kind of what I thought. I was like, maybe they'll just reach out to me one day.
Yeah.
And I just really had to move on from that, you know. Right. But it was really insane, because I taught that boy how to tie his shoes.
Right.
You know, like, I mean, it wasn't like I was just kind of this uninvolved human. I was, like, I
Major
raised
milestones in these
for
children's
5
lives.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we've been through some things,
Right.
you know? Crappy. I actually learned later after all of this from his ex-wife that he told her that he was going to help facilitate a relationship with the kids. And she was totally fine with that. But that never happened.
Mm.
That never happened.
Mm.
You know, after we talked in August, I will say that his daughter called me one day. And I could hear her mom in the background. And her name's like popping up on my phone. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And so she's like, hi, Stesha. You know. And she told me she was riding her hoverboard. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so great. And so I asked her, I said, does mommy know that you called me? Because I just want to be respectful.
Right.
You know what I mean? And she did. She was right there. And I thought, that's really cool. You know?
Yeah.
And she told me that she missed me. And I was like, I miss you too. We just call her Pooh. I miss you too, Pooh.
Yeah.
And that was like the last time I talked to her until this year.
Wow.
You know? And
so what transpired in between those years? Because was that 2019?
I really want to hear the rest, like after she talked to him about the taxes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, after we talked about the taxes, like he sent me pictures of the kids, and I was like, hey, I hope you're well. And he's like, I hope you're well. And like we got off the phone. We did end up speaking. I don't know how, like, it feels like it was a couple days. It was probably like really a couple weeks after that fact, to talk about divorce. Because I was like, we're still legally married. Like, we need to file this paperwork. Like, I have it typed. I typed our petition and our divorce decree. We didn't have any children involved. All of the joint assets we had was just the house, thank God. And so, like, we just needed to like file the paperwork, you know. And you know what is so interesting? I thought divorce was going to be really, really expensive. I just had this, ideology the entire time, like, oh, this is so expensive. And I learned how to type all that stuff because I was like, I can't afford a lawyer. So I just did a bunch of research, like formatting, you know, looking at things like language, important things to include, like in a divorce decree, because I was like, I don't have thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
You know? And so when we talked, so this would have been after August, we talked again. I'm not really quite sure what month this would have been in. We talked again. And he was like, how have you been? And I was like, I'm really good. I'm really good. And he said, you know, I've been going to therapy. And I was like, that's wonderful. And I really wanted to say, I hope you're telling the truth.
Yeah.
But I didn't, you know, and I was like, that's really good. I said, I'm really happy to hear that. He goes, yeah, like, I'm going to therapy and, you know, I'm doing this. And he's just like talking about all the stuff he's doing. I was like, I'm so happy for you. Like, that's really, really good news. And he was like, you know, I was really hoping that, like, you and I can maybe talk about, like, getting back together. Baby, that took me back. That took me way back.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, you're separated now.
I mean, basically.
Yeah.
Like, it's like 10 months at this point. Separated. I didn't talk to you for 8.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you. And I said, oh, sweetheart, I said, why would you think that? And he was like, well, I've been in therapy and I've been working on myself to be a better person for you. And I said, honey, I sold our house. I have not spoken to you in 8 months. And you think like this was just preparation time? Like this whole time has been preparation time? Like, no, sweetheart, no.
For you.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
And so I just told him, I said, you know what? I hope you continue to be in therapy for you. And I told him, I said, and just to be really quite honest with you, you're not even my type anymore. I said that with as much love as I could.
Yeah.
You know? So then the conversation turned into, well, I heard.
Trying to create that.
Well, I heard that you've been like going out and like partying.
Sure have been.
I said, yeah. I said, I do a dance class now. I found a dance class. I said, it's like, you know, I dance with a bunch of girls. I said, I've been, you know, going out, been working out. I said, I've been doing all of that.
Yeah.
I sure have. Absolutely, sir.
YOLO.
Yep.
And he really didn't have anything to say to that. And so I just told him, I said, you know, I'm not trying to be ugly, you know? I was like, but this is just done. It's just done, baby. It's done for real this time. For real this time, you know?
Yeah.
Like Tyler, the creator said, for real this time. You know?
Yeah.
Like, we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I told him at the end, I said, I really wish you well. I really do. And so the very, 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 very last time I ever saw or talked to him was December of that year. And I met him because I needed him to sign the divorce papers. And so we met at Chile's. Cold outside. You know, and he looked just like how he always did with his sweater and his collared shirt underneath, and it was all rolled up, and he's got his boots on, and you know, he's smelling good. He's got a bunch on his sweater. He looked handsome. Sweater. I love that. It's my favorite. And so, I mean, he looked handsome, and I said, hey, I was like, how are you? He's like, I'm good. I was like, you look good. He was like, thanks, you too. And so we sat, and this was yet another situation. I think he thought we were on a date.
Delusional. Yeah.
So I pull these papers out because this is the purpose of this meeting right now. And his entire demeanor changed.
Well, because he thought he could just come back and smooth talk your sweet little self over.
I just literally was so shocked by this.
Yeah.
I mean, he was so pissed the way he was signing those, like, you know,
because he can't manipulate you no
like
more.
sign these multiple pages, you know what I mean? And I was just like, I'll pay for dinner.
Yeah.
So I did, and he left, and we left. That was it.
Yeah.
And I filed the papers, baby. January 6th, 2020. January 6th, 2020. Isn't it also the date of those, like, insurgents? Or was that January 7th? I don't know, but anyways, January 6th, 2020. And that was it. I have not seen him. You know, I am in contact with his daughter because she indicated to her mom that she would like to see me. And I mean, for 2 years we tried to plan something to try to make that work, you know, and it just so happened to work out on her 13th birthday, and it was like a surprise, and it was really emotional. I mean, she's just 13. I mean, last time I saw that baby, she was like 8, 9. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's just so nuts. You know, her and her dad don't have a good relationship now, and I am a little bit shocked by that because it just always kind of seemed like he favored her, you know?
Well, with kids, they're always the golden child at a certain age, but once they start forming their own identity and having their own body autonomy, which is really difficult to do being raised by a narcissist, then they start to discard that child.
Yeah. So, I mean, they don't have a great relationship, but, you know, she's old enough to have her own thoughts. And she told me, she said, you know, you tried the best that you could. She told me that. She said, you did the best that you could. And I cried about that. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Because I really just, you know, I really did try.
Yeah.
I really, really, really tried. Really hard, you know. And so for her little baby self to you know, be 13 and say, like, you really did your best. I just appreciated that so much, you know.
I can cut this part if I need to, but wasn't there a part where like the police was called.
Okay, and so I was gonna say I literally forgot all about that.
So that was like that stuck out to me.
Yes.
Okay,
So I don't know if
because
it was in the middle of the apartment situation before the Blue Christmas.
Okay.
So I don't know. I can talk about it now, and if you want to like do whatever.
No, it's okay because it's important for people to see processing trauma in real time.
Yeah.
And it's okay to not have our timelines together because that's a part of the trauma. And so it's okay to talk about things that you might have forgot about because that was a huge thing.
It was a huge thing.
Yes.
Yeah. That did happen.
Yeah. So there is a part of the story that we're going to kind of backtrack a little bit. And I want to disclose to our viewers that like this is a part of navigating through trauma as a survivor is, you know, we're not going to have our timelines together. We're going to recall things once we hear someone else talking about something or whatever. And so,
or as we're talking about,
you know,
then things are going to come up and we're going to remember.
So there was a major event that transpired around the Blue Christmas time.
So it's the second time you left whenever you had your apartment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not funny. So I moved out July 18th of 2017 into the apartment. And just more to that point about the timeline, you know, after we talked, I literally had to write things down because I was like, you know, my concept of time for these last, you know, for that 5-year time frame is just, it's like you said, I mean, it's hard to remember all these things, you know what I mean? And anyways, so I realized that I moved out for the second time, July 8th or 18th, I know there's an 8 in there, of 2017 to go to the apartment. And I think like I had said, but we didn't talk for like a little bit. I don't know how we started to talk. It's always that. I don't know how we started to talk, but we started to talk and we started to become cordial. And I had a second job at this. I just remember I had a second job at this time. So I was working my primary job, going to school, and I had gotten a job at the outlet mall. I can't remember the name of this. They sell like bras and underwear and stuff. It's really cute. But anyways, I had gotten a job there. And so we had decided we were going to try to work on things and, you know, whatever. So, like, I would go over there and spend the night sometimes, you know, and, like, we're totally not being physical at this point, you know. And he actually, I remember that being a part of the problem. This is really helpful. I'm starting to remember some things. And so I remember a conversation we had was that he told me, like, you know, we're supposed to be working on things, but every time you come over here, you just go to sleep. It's like you just come over here to go to sleep. And there was a part of me that was like, yeah, I'm fucking tired.
Yeah.
It's just the same song and dance, you know? Like, I'm now back to working 2 jobs. I'm in full-time school still. Like, I am trying to make this time, and I am kind of trying to make this work. So it's like our space, we're sharing space, you know? Like,
well, what are you doing to contribute? You know what I'm saying?
Well, and
like,
it's always that, but it's like, never was he like, hey, do you want to go on a date?
Correct, yeah.
Like, hey, do you want to, you know, it was never, but it was always, we're not doing X, Y, and Z, but you never actually had any suggestions about what we should be doing that would make this, like, rise to your occasion.
Right.
Other than, I guess, doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I had called in to my second job, because I really didn't care about that job. I didn't really need that job. And I remember I was sitting at Sonic, and we were supposed to see each other that evening, and I'm calling him, and I'm calling him, and I'm calling him, and I'm calling him, and he's not answering the phone, and I was like, this is really fucking irritating, you know? And so I'm about to go home, and he calls me, like, I ordered a burger. I think we were actually supposed to go on a date that day, if my memory serves me correctly. And so I ordered a burger. I'm like sitting at Sonic and I'm trying to reach him. And the Sonic is like literally right down the street from our house. And so he calls me. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I was sleeping. And I believe that because that man would nap. Baby, he's going to prioritize a nap. You better believe it. And so that was really frustrating because I was like, well, I'm glad you're all nice and rested. And I've like called into my job. Like I could have gone and worked my job. You know what I mean?
Guilted
like,
me. Yeah.
Like, you know, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I was sleeping. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm coming over.
Yeah.
And so I go over to the house, and I'm irritated. Like, I'm very, very irritated. And I feel like I probably started to argue it. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. But I just feel like I was like, this is also part of the problem. Like, you napping. Like, I sacrifice a lot of things and have sacrificed a lot of things for the betterment of our relationship. And it's like, that triggered me. It's like, you can't help me clean because you're napping. You can't help me do this because you're napping. Mm-hmm. Here I am paying for my wedding ring, but you can't help me because you're napping. Mm-hmm. And that was very frustrating to me. And so then we're kind of going back and forth and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to just go home tonight. Like, we can just kind of revisit this. Like, it's pitch black outside. Okay. Right. The entire evening's like ruined. And I was just like, I don't want to sit here and like pretend to want to be in your space, So as I'm starting to leave, how in the hell did he start calling me a whore? What are you going to do? Go hang out with your friends? You're going to go out and party? So like, this is like escalating. Okay. We're in the front, we're smoking, and it's you're going to go hang out and party. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, when am I partying?
Right. You go out one night, now you're a party
like, what animal. Are you and I've never, like, when I moved out, I hadn't been out. Right. Like, if people were visiting me, they came to my apartment. Right. And we sat in my living room, and these are my girlfriends,
Oh, my friends saw you.
Oh my God. Jesus.
I saw your pictures on Instagram.
And so we're like fighting outside. So it was in that moment that I was like, I'm not doing this with you. I'm going to get the rest of my stuff and I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to go. So as soon as I said that, and I'm sure I didn't say that calmly, okay? Like, like, you are acting insane right now.
Yeah.
So then he's like, well, you can't take anything out of this house because it's our stuff. It has to be court ordered for you to take anything out of this house. And I said, I'm going to take whatever I want out of this house. It's my shit anyways. Mm-hmm. And it is. Well, I'm going to call the police. I said, go ahead, because it's a civil matter and that's what they're going to tell you. Mm-hmm. I said, you can do whatever you want to do. So I'm like gathering things, he's yelling. Okay, just this freaking close to my head, just yelling, like, you're a hoe, you want to, I'm hoes and bitches and sluts and, just yelling about all of these, I mean, just freaking losing his shit, okay? And he's following me to every damn room in the house that I'm going into, okay? So I'm on the phone with my mom because this man calls the police. He actually did. Mm-hmm. And I was like, damn it, dude. Because in my mind, I really just wanted to leave, but I was like, I'm not going to leave because I'm not doing anything wrong, right? I don't want to be, like, when the police show up, they're like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, it's a domestic dispute. Like, I want to get my shit. He doesn't want me to take it. It's a civil matter. We'll have to go to family court about it.
Right.
Have a nice day.
Yeah.
And so I just knew I would need to, like, participate in that process, So I'm on the phone with my mom, and he is yelling. I try to go to the bathroom, lock the door. He gets a butter knife, unlocks the door. Your daughter's a fucking slut. Da-da-da-da-da. Yelling. And I'm like, dude, get out of my face. Like, leave me alone. And so then I go into my closet because I've tried walking outside. I've tried being in the garage. I tried to go to the bathroom. So then now we had 2 separate closets in our master bedroom. And so I'm in my closet. There is not like a lock to the closet, but I'm sitting on the floor and I'm telling my mom, like, he's called the police. I just have to wait for the police to get here. And she's like, well, when are they going to freaking be there? I was like, I don't know. It's probably not high on their list,
Yeah.
So I hear what to me sounds like him throwing things. And I thought, oh my God, this motherfucker's breaking my shit. And I didn't want him to do that because this is my stuff.
Yeah.
And when I opened the door, he had a gun in his hand. And so I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, that's literally what I said. And so I hung up on my mom because, like, and I'm calling the police now. And so I go back into the closet and I'm like, where are you guys? Because things are out of control now. Like, this man has a gun, okay? I don't know what he's doing, but where are y'all? Like, I'm trying to get out of here. And so I opened the door. And I don't even know where he went. I don't know if he walked into the living room or like if he was outside, but I'm on the phone with 911 and she's asking me what's happening and I'm telling her. So he's screaming at me. He doesn't have the gun in his hand anymore, but he's screaming at me while I'm on the phone with 911 dispatch. And again, I'm walking outside. I'm walking in. I'm trying to get away from him. And it was so extreme to the point to where the 911 operator was like, please put me on speaker. And so we're in the backyard at this point, okay? I put her on speaker and she says, sir, please separate yourself from her. So I sat on a cooler in the backyard. I don't know if he was in the front yard. And the next thing I know, there's 4 cop cars. Quick now you're here.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I looked around because we didn't have a fence. I looked around the side of the house and I see that he's handcuffed in the front yard. And, sorry, I'm like a shaky cat. And so I just sit back down onto the cooler and I have my hands in a hoodie like this. And so the police officer comes up to me and just literally puts his hands into my hoodie. And I'm like, hi. Like, hey. And I understand it's like, you don't know what's going on. You know that there's a weapon, but I just thought that is so lame. Like, you could have been like, hey, ma'am, I'm officer so-and-so. Like, do you mind just showing me the contents? You know, I just kind of thought it was a little insensitive. I didn't love that at that moment. So they're asking me what's going on. So I tell them what's going on. I'm like, we were fighting. I wanted to get my stuff. He said he was calling you guys. I was waiting. He pulled out a gun. And they were like, well, where's the gun now? And I was like, I don't know. I said it was in his nightstand. It could be in his car now. I'm not really sure. So we walk into the back door that's connected to the kitchen, and I had the most sobering moment. And I don't mean like alcohol because I literally hadn't even drank that day. The condition of that home looked insane. Like clothes everywhere. And it wasn't because we were like doing that. Like, I think he just had laundry and he like left it and he just wasn't cleaning up after himself. And like, there were beer bottles probably accumulating for like days or weeks or whatever. Just all, it looked insane. And so I'm looking around. There's like 6 police officers in my house, in my bedroom, in my living room. They're just, and I'm like, wow. And so I told them this has never happened before. Because that's the truth, it hadn't, you know what I mean? Like, this is the first time this has escalated to this level. And I heard the lady police officer, she was like, this woman is a battered woman. I heard her say that, but in my head, I'm like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, no, I'm not. And I'm like, you're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. Like, this has never happened before, you know? So then this really kind man comes to me. He's a cop. But he was really, really nice. And he said, ma'am, your husband's being arrested for domestic violence and assault with a deadly weapon. And I immediately vomited. Like, I had to run to the bathroom and I was like, I puked. Because I could not believe that. I was like, oh my God. Like, fuck.
Well, his plans of calling the police had now backfired.
And so, right.
But then you're innate.
So then my literal thought,
Yeah.
my literal thought process is I was like, you do not have to arrest him. Because I have my own place to live. Like, I don't even have to be here. Like, I can go home. Like, he can stay here. I can go to like, I have an apartment. Like, we're not living together. And so this man, he said, hold on just a second. And he, like, called for somebody to come. And he replayed the 911 phone call back to me. My 911 phone call back to me. And, you know, it was really traumatic to hear myself like crying and like, please, please come. And he said, if you were my daughter and, you know, the police were called and walked into the situation and nothing happened, I would be pissed. He said, I cannot sleep tonight and know that I have done my job and that you were okay without taking that man to jail. And I was like, okay. I mean, what do? Nothing.
Yeah.
You do nothing, right?
Yeah.
So then my next thoughts are like, oh my God, this man's gonna get fired from his job. The job that he got fired from anyways. But like, you know, I was like, he's gonna get fired from his job. So I'm like, what do I do to protect his job, you know? And it was really mostly also about the kids too, because I was like, oh my God, like how's he gonna take care of his kids? How are we gonna take care of this house? Like, oh my gosh, everything,
Yeah.
you know? And so I'm like texting I lied. I said, I don't even know what I said about why he could not be contacted or why he wasn't gonna be at work, because it was Indigenous Peoples Day weekend. So the courts were closed on Monday. So he was gonna at least, and today was Friday, or that day was Friday. So he was gonna at least be there until Tuesday before he could go in front of a judge, you know? And oh my God, that was crazy. Like, it was totally insane. And so then I went back to my apartment that night and I went to sleep, I think. I definitely drank when I got there.
Yeah.
And so I get called from the DA, and the DA is like, hey, I need you to come down here to file this, like, I need you to complete some paperwork and stuff. And I remember, like, I felt like my eyes were so puffy, like I looked crazy. My dad had called me. My dad was like, you need to move all your shit out of that house now. Like, this week and get it taken care of. Like, get out of there now. And so there was just a lot going on, you know what I mean? And so I'm driving down to the Oklahoma City Police, whatever, detectives area. And I spilled coffee down the front of my shirt and had a white shirt on. And I just thought, this is so par for the course. Look crazy in a crazy situation. Like, this is terrible, you know? And I did not even get to step foot into the building, and I was met outside by the detective, and I knew him. He used to be my regular at Twin Peaks. Like, the whole gang unit, Oklahoma City gang unit used to come in, and he was one of them. And he looked at me and he said, what are you doing? And I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my God. And he was like, I'm sorry that I have you down here like this. And he's like, and I'm sorry we can't go inside. He was like, but the calls are recorded. And I just wanted you to feel comfortable, like, talking. Like, I didn't know, you know? And so he was like, this isn't you. He said, this is not you. He was like, you need to leave. And I think he was kind of joking, but he was like, can you put some lipstick on and be that bad bitch that you know you are? You know? And so I wrote the statement, like, I'm not going to participate in the investigation. I'm not going to go to court about this. If you guys choose to pursue charges, like, I'm not going to show up. I will not be there. Do not call me. Like, that whole situation. And then that was it.
Then you went back.
And then I went back again.
So was he in jail that whole weekend? How was that situation whenever he got out?
Well, and he didn't get charged with anything, right?
No, they dropped the charges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they dropped the charges. I think mostly because I would not participate.
Yeah.
You know, I guess when I met, I was like, I don't want to ruin this dude's life.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
You know, how was that situation with him after? I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's a large part of the frustration that I have, is because, you know, there was obviously we talked, like, at some point I moved back into the house.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure, you know, that's just the truth. That's the honest to God truth.
And that's okay.
It is crazy because you would just think, like, that would be enough for somebody to, like, and I was already removed, you know what I mean? Like, I really didn't have to subject myself to that situation again after that at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm not really feeling bad for myself, because at the end of the day, like, I have been in therapy and I'm doing that work to, you know, heal from these experiences, but it is perplexing. It is very perplexing to think, like, girl, you are already removed. You had most of your shit out of there. He was in jail. You could have went and got all your shit out of there.
Yeah.
Parents would have happily done whatever needed to happen in order for that to take place. And I did not. I did not do that.
And you know, that is also okay, because in hindsight, it seems like that would be the logical thing to do. But when you're living it, it's a completely different experience.
It's easy for somebody to tell you what they would and wouldn't do, you know?
Because I remember her going through her situation, And I'm like, girl, you need to da-da-da. I wouldn't da-da-da-da, you know, like. And then now I'm living this situation. And I'm like.
I mean, I think, like, I've been the type of person to evaluate other people's situations and say, like, you know, well, you keep putting yourself in that situation. So, like, if you're not going to do anything to help yourself, then, you know, it's like, it's so easy. It's so easy to say those things when you do not have that lived experience. Like, I just, you know.
But what's crazy is, too, though, I would say those things while I was living that. I was in such a state of denial in my own experience that, you know, if there was other women that were experiencing things, I mean, there was a status that came up in my Facebook memories from 2016, and I was talking about people victim blaming victims of abuse, and I was like, it's never the victim's fault. You have to hold abusers accountable. In 2016, a year after I had my daughter, you know, and so I had this complex too, that there's such a glamorization of marriage being hard.
Right.
And you gotta stick it out. And you gotta, through thick and thin, to death do us part, and all of this stuff. And it's hammered in, especially when it's indoctrinated in religious aspects, okay? And so I had that. I don't want to give up. And then when I was being counseled, you know, by my ex-youth pastor, you know, read the 5 love languages, which is super misogynistic.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't know that at that time. And it's like, even reading these, and the last episode you did when you were talking about looking things up on Pinterest, like I told Latricia, I said that brought up an insane, or I was talking to my therapist about it, brought up an insane memory for me. Whenever I went back the first time, after I filed for divorce, I had been living with Latricia, and and I was wanting to do and be everything. What can I do? Because I took on that, I messed it up. Because that's also what I was being told too. I knew that that's not what happened, but man, like, such a master manipulator to be able to literally change your perception of reality to where you start believing those things. And then, yeah, I did. Yeah. Oh, that is similar. Oh, wow. Well, that's why this person stopped talking, you know, like, crazy. I was looking up, okay, I believe this was on Father's Day, and I was trying to find things to say to him. What do you say? And I couldn't find anything, because in my conscious mind, I couldn't find anything that was truthful and loving to write about this man. So I literally went on Pinterest and I went on Google to find things to say.
I actually found my vows.
I printed it out. I went to the library and I printed, because here's the thing, he was about to deploy that year as well. So I wanted to have all of these things nicely printed out for him so he could read it as he's going to the airport.
But not things
that a list of things trying to find
to say yourself.
No, and I literally, and it was just such a pivotal moment when you were talking about that. I was like, holy crap, like I've literally done the same thing, because there was nothing kind about that man. He wasn't a good listener. Like, I was writing all of these untruthful things. You're such an amazing father. You're such and that's not true. Like, it wasn't true.
Yeah.
But I was wanting it to be true. I wanted so hard for him to be that, because I wanted my kids to see that. Right. I wanted them to have that father. So yeah, daddy loves you. No, he doesn't. You know what I'm saying? That's reality. Like, confusing abuse with love, like, that's not love. you know, no, daddy doesn't spend any time with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's the reality of it, you know? And even when the kids were recognizing those things, even my son was like 9 at the time. And he had the awareness of, he understood that it wasn't okay for someone to cause harm to your children. Like, literally at 9, he said that to me. And he said, I just don't think that it's okay for your own parent to cause harm to you. And I was like, yeah. I said, I agree. You know, and like, those were so really tough moments to navigate through because I was stuck again. So it's like every time, you just sink further into the fucking couch.
I agree. Like, I definitely feel like, you know, obviously we were not well before we even got married. I was not well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, obviously not well. And, just the longer, you know, and honestly, even when I think about, I can see the escalation in like his behavior, like it's, you know, I hate your social media, and then now it's, I wore shorts while picking up cigarette butts in the front yard, but I'm flirting with the neighbor, and now he thinks I slept with the neighbor. Like, I can't, you know what I mean? It just, this high escalation of all of these things. And then I would even say, like, the transformation of me as a person, you know what I mean? Like, I do not know that girl.
Yeah.
I don't know her.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know her.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who that woman is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, she existed, but it's
She
like
did.
such a separation.
I resonate with that so heavily.
It's
Yeah.
just like, I don't know her.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that my success the final time, you know, was let me back up. I think a lot of people are unsuccessful in leaving, you know, emotionally, physically, and mentally abusive relationships because you don't have support. You know, it takes a lot of support to be able to exit those situations. You know what I'm saying? And I had so much secrecy within myself that, you know, I'm not like telling people really what's like going on, right? Like I would, if we needed to talk about it, because maybe you noticed something was wrong with me, I might give you a little bit of this, but like I'm not really telling you what's happening within the four walls of my home. You know what I mean? Or like obviously the gun situation, that was pretty loud, you know what I mean? So like had to kind of discuss those things with some people. And my friend Aria, Jasmine, and my sister are the very reason that I'm alive today.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that like jokingly.
Yeah.
I was in very dark, ugly, deep places, you know, and if it was not for those women, I just don't really know. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I
You know,
agree with that,
and
yeah.
just great friends to me. You know, I would call them, never ask them, how are you? Never once did I ever ask, how are you doing? It was always about me and whatever was happening at the time. And they were just such an emotional support that was so vital to my success. And then of course my family, like, I mean, I'm not trying to say that my family wasn't there. It's just, I didn't talk to my parents about the things that were happening. You know what I mean? And it just didn't happen, you know? And so I'm just like so thankful to Aria, especially. I mean, she would just talk to me on the phone for hours. I can't imagine what exhausting friend I was at that point in time in my life. And she talked to me. And Jasmine, I mean, she would come to my home. Her intentions were always good intentions.
Yeah.
You know, she really tried to support my marriage because she didn't really know what was going on. But she really tried to support it in the best way that she could based off of the information that I would allow her to know.
Right.
And because she just genuinely cared for my well-being. I mean, I would sit in that closet journaling when I stopped drinking, and it would be like 10:30, and she'd talk to me on the phone. How are you feeling today? How do you feel about your urge to drink? Is there anything happening? well, me and Justin just got into an argument, so a glass of wine sounds really good right now. Okay, let's talk through that. Let's talk through that feeling. So vital.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course my sister, my poor sister, she's, you know, only 16, 17 years old during these time frames, you know, but she was just, you know, to paint the house, to get everything together, to really just be an anchor of support is just vital.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
I hope that she learns from my mistakes, but, you know, another realization that I've had, and I think that this is also a common theme, you know, with our situations, that I've never seen a healthy relationship
Yeah.
in my life.
Yeah.
The only healthy relationship I've ever seen is Alana and her ex-boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even when they broke up, it was very grown, like, hey, we're just kind of not compatible.
Yeah.
I wish you nothing but the best. Like, no fighting, no screaming, like,
Yeah.
and she's a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the healthiest relationship I've ever seen, and I'm going to be 29 years old next month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what makes it hard sometimes to identify, like, this is not okay. This is not okay. Because you've just seen lots of not okay shit.
Yeah.
So.
And I agree with you. I think that having that community and support is so important. And I think when women are in these violent situations like that, get stripped because of coercive control and everything, the extreme isolation, the nitpicking, the manipulation to make you feel insecure about yourself, so you won't go anywhere, so you won't wear that, so you won't talk to this person, so you won't have your sister come over. The fear of starting any altercation and having to walk on eggshells to keep the peace, so you just don't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, and that is so incredibly isolating, and
It's
you know,
hard.
I
Yeah.
understand, like, the
Yeah.
friends, like, that's why, like, with Latricia, like, I'm so grateful for her constance, to have that constance and not abandon me, because she could have, to
Right.
protect herself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And to have, because I've had people in my life that had to do that in very deep, meaningful relationships. Like, in love with you relationship. And to have someone say, I don't want to hear about him anymore.
It's tough.
That's really hard.
It's hard.
And you
Yeah.
have to, even though it stings and it hurts and it, oh my God, it's like rubbing salt in the wound, because it's like you're trying so hard to move on from this. I want to move on from this. I want to move the fuck on from this. When is it going to be over? When am I out of it? Because even though I'm out of this relationship, we're still in the middle of litigation.
Right.
It's going on almost 2 years now.
Right.
You know, so I'm very much there too. Like, I want to be done with this. I don't want to have to mention him ever again.
Right.
You know, but like, to have someone say that and understand that, wow, like, thank you for at least being vulnerable and sharing your truth and understanding that, like, I can't hear this anymore. It's painful for me.
Yeah.
And being respectful of that, because, you know, people do have to take care of themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, like, for Latricia to be that constant for me was huge, because I feel so similar to you. Like, I don't know what I would have done, because she was the only person. My parents didn't know anything.
Oh,
like,
God.
literally anything.
You just can't. Like, I mean,
We would go stay for a week at a time
can't
at
like
their house, you know?
tell anybody. Like, you
No.
just can't. And for me,
No.
especially not my parents, I was like, first of all, my dad is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. He will handle some things up quickly.
Yeah.
Not just kidding, but
Kind of. Yeah.
just kind of kidding. But it was just so much shame. It's like there was just a lot of shame, because I was like, look at how I'm living, look at what I'm living in, look at what I'm dealing with. Like, you know, just it's hard to talk about, like, the intimacy stuff, and how, like, I was just like, I wouldn't be mad if nobody ever touched me again. That's how fucked you've made this. Like, I don't, you know, the emotional and psychological space. I mean, how do you go tell somebody? I really question, like, my reality sometimes.
Right.
Like, how can you tell somebody that? Like, my husband is gaslighting the fuck out of me, and it's like, I don't know.
Well, and not even knowing those terms at that time either.
And didn't even know
Correct.
that. Never
You know
even
what I'm saying?
heard of that before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
just like, in my mind, it's like manipulation, but there's a more specific term. Like, you know, and it's just hard. It's hard to communicate those things. But this is so important because I don't know if I've said this, but I feel passionately about it. We have to talk about these things because it's so, you know, it's not like saying, oh, I have mental health problems, you know, I struggle with depression, I struggle with anxiety. And I feel like as a society, we're just so much more comfortable having that conversation. But when we start talking about domestic violence, emotional manipulation, and, you know, mental manipulation, it's like,
You gotta keep quiet.
Yeah.
ooh, it's a little uncomfortable.
Yes,
I don't
just
like
not talk about it.
that. So, you know, and it's like, no, these are all things that need to be chatted about because, like, you know, like we've said before, you know, you just never know who's going to resonate and be able to, like, really get something from this. And also, like, you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're just really not alone.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. I'm reading this book that I found at the library randomly, which is so funny. But it's called Witches, and it's about women being together. And she talks about just over centuries, just starting like Joan of Arc and the Salem trial witches and all of these things. And like the epitome of all of this has always been like teenage girls. And how fucking strong and radical and empowering teenage girls are, and all the shit that teenage girls have started. And it's made me feel really empowered by that, because women that come together are stronger, which is why society and patriarchy has tried so incredibly hard to separate us.
Yeah.
So incredibly hard to pit us against each other, that there's not enough room at the table for everybody. You know, if I get a position, sorry, you know what I'm saying? We're always at odds with each other.
Yeah.
You know, and instead it should be, when I come up, here's the ladder.
Right.
Let me take your hand.
Yeah.
When I'm winning, you're winning too. When I make it, we're making it together.
Yep.
You know, and that's how it should be, in togetherness. And instead of, you know, because one thing she talked about was like, you know, I used to be that girl that used to be like, yeah, I have more guy friends than I do girls. And, you know, like that type of mentality. And I had that same mentality too, though. Like, girls are drama. Man, I said that all the time. Like, I can't fucking stand girls, they're drama, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but why? Why do we have to be having drama with each other? Why are we at odds with each other?
Yeah.
What are we not liking about each other? I don't even know you.
Yeah.
So why is there a problem? You know?
My problem with that was I had a lot of guy friends and I wanted girlfriends so bad. Like, I wanted to be friends with girls. But because of the fact that I had a lot of guy friends and I was very sexually promiscuous, that meant that if I had a guy that was a friend and they had a girlfriend, that she would automatically think that I was sleeping with them. Whether it was because they told her something or they just thought that. But then they were always trying to fight me. And it's like, I don't want him. Like, that is my friend. Like, and I would love to be your friend too. Like, genuinely. Like, I was sexually assaulted whenever I was 18 years old. I was still in high school by one of who I considered very best friends. And he had drugged me, and so I didn't even know that there was a sexual assault until like days later. And he had mentioned something, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And then that's whenever I found out everything that happened, that he had given me Xanax instead of Tylenol and all of this stuff. And I remember being at church, and his girlfriend, whom I had considered a friend of mine as well, called me and she was like, he told me about you guys. He told me that y'all had sex. And I was like, I swear to you that I did not knowingly and purposefully do that. Like, I was passed out. I was unconscious. Mm-hmm. And she was like, well, that Xanax isn't going to do that to you.
Yeah, it is.
And I was like, I swear. And like, literally, like, I was all kinds of whores and bitches. And she was like, I never want to see you again because I can't believe you would do that to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like,
it's really unfortunate.
I did it, I swear.
It's terrible.
It's very unfortunate. Yeah. But then I also realized, like, now as an adult, that like the guy friends that I had chosen to be friends with are not the greatest people, and they had ulterior motives that I didn't want to see.
Sure, we had them blinders on.
Sure,
you know what I'm saying.
I mean, I think that's why it's so important to talk about things and talk through things, because you know the whole purpose, in my opinion, and not to be all philosophical or whatever, you know, is to just like grow. You know, like I shouldn't be the same person that I was 5 years ago.
Right.
I don't want to be the same person next year that I am this year. You know what I mean? Like my internal purpose and goals for myself are to always, you know, learn, try to be understanding. I want to grow, and I would like to be the most optimal person that I can, you know? And that's one of the huge motivators for me to be participating in therapy, because I think we have to be very honest and acknowledge like our lived experiences and our trauma truly shape who we are today.
Yeah.
And until we can work through those things in a healthy, productive way, you know, we kind of idle in a sense, one way or another, you know, and so, you know, that getting older and growth and just seeing people for who they are and understanding things, I mean, you know, there's more to like what we're talking about. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in it, it's so hard to see.
Yeah.
It's so hard to see when you're in it, you know?
Yeah.
And then when you do see and you're in it, it's hard to get out.
Yes. Yeah, and I think it's beautiful to note too that like when you see women, you know, like yourself, and breaking those generational curses for one, but like once you started doing what was right by you and acting in your higher self, even if you weren't there yet, every little step you took was alignment that paved that way for you to get to where you are now. You know, and I think alignment is so beautiful, because like how I even met you, you know, working at a salon, your sister's there getting her nails done, and I meet her, and then now, you know, here we are like over a year later, and I'm getting to like share these moments with you as a woman and hear your story and be so inspired and so impacted by it, and feeling so seen and heard for myself as well.
Yeah.
You know, and like that is really important, because, and this is such a different relationships than ones that I've had before, where, because it's important to understand like the difference in trauma bonding.
Yeah.
You know, like you can share traumas with each other all day, and that's the end of it. You know what I'm saying? But like, where is the evolution? What are we doing to be impactful with each other, hold each other accountable to things? Are we a part of each other's healing journey? Are we encouraging and inspiring and uplifting? Like, is that a part of that relationship? Because if it's not, then you are just in a trauma bond.
Right.
You know, it's not a healthy friendship, because you're enabling, you know, you're doing those things. And so to be in healthy relationships with women that are growing and evolving and uplifting, and someone that can sit in the darkness with you and sit in your shadows and say, I love you so much.
Yeah.
I'm here. I will sit with you. I will lay with you. I will cry with you. I'll meditate with you. Like, whatever it is where we can build and grow together, like, that's what's going to change the world, is women doing that together and healing together.
Yeah.
Holding each other's hand and saying, hey, you are not alone. I see you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Your truth is fucking valid, man.
Yeah.
I will,
you know?
like, never forget one of the like most impactful things that you've done for me maybe it was earlier this year. Anyways, when I was like really not doing well because of my seasonal depression. And something that I've been struggling with is like, who do you talk to? You know, like, who do you talk to when you're not having a good day? Like, who do you talk to? Who can you reach out to? Like, when you're not feeling well. And I just, you know, I don't really feel like I have a lot, like Alana.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't want to talk to Alana because it's like, I feel like energy is so powerful, right? And so it's like, I don't want to bring her down. I don't want her to, and she's young, and it's like, you know, my problems or whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I do talk to Alana a lot. And anyways, I was breaking. Just mentally, very depressed, very sad, not doing well. And I called, actually, did you call me or I called you? I think I called you, and you were at a play or something. And, you know, she called me back, and she's like, oh, are you okay? And I was like, oh, it's fine. I was just calling, like, to chat. I just maybe wasn't, like, having a good time. And then I wasn't going to really talk about it. And she's like, no, like, we can talk about it. And I was, like, just crumbling on the phone. Like, just hysterically crying on the phone.
Yeah.
I was like, my house is disgusting. I can't do anything about it. I want to do something about it, but my body won't let me do anything about it.
Yeah.
I'm living in chaos. I feel like chaos inside of my body. There's chaos inside of my brain. I'm overwhelmed. Like, I can't.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know that this woman, she said, I'm on my way to your house. And I was like, do not come here.
Yeah.
And I thought I made that pretty clear. She showed up to my door. And I just ugly cried about it. But it was really impactful to me. It was very kind. Because I really needed that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I really needed that. Like, in that moment, I was just struggling. So
yeah,
it's a privilege. And I feel very lucky to also have these types of friendships, you know, where we can be those people, you know, so it's
absolutely.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna accept the push, man, because like I know that I've also been that in relationships, and I was like, no, because I know what that feels like to not want to feel like you're a burden to somebody, and you know, like, don't see me.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, like, we're gonna sit through this together. I don't have to say anything, but I'm going to sit with you in this dark space and lead you to this light.
And then offered to clean my house.
Yeah.
I was like, we're not cleaning my damn house.
This was after we left the Harry Potter concert.
When I was in my apartment, and I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah.
Whenever I had my apartment, after she had moved out, like, I mean, I worked all the time. Like, I mean, all the time. I would be up before my kids had to go to school. I wouldn't get home till after they got home from school. Like, and they were younger, you know, I mean, old enough to be home by themselves, but like devastating that they were. But I would come home, like, my house would be awful because literally, like, I was home enough to like eat something real fast, shower, and basically go to bed. Like, you know, spend a little bit of time with my kids, like, as much as I could, but, you know, like, but I would come home and, like, I'd call her, like, did you clean my house? Like, you were here.
Like, I still had the keys.
Yeah, like, and so that was always, you know, because I couldn't have done that, you know, without her, you know, because then my kids would have literally been living in filth, because, like, it would get so bad, but I didn't have a day off. You know, and the days that I did have off, it's like I would be so exhausted, like, holy cow. But I think that it's a great thing to have a community, but a community of like healthy relationships that is deeper than just
surface level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just how are you? Good, how are you? Great. Cool.
It's how are you? Terrible.
Yeah.
And then feeling like you have
And
to
then-
filter that.
yeah.
You shouldn't feel like you have to filter that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's hard to always ask someone like, hey, do you have space? Because like, you know, you want to be mindful of people, but like it's when you're really, really close to people, it's just really hard.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? Especially as neurodivergent people, I'm just like, girl, this just happened, you know what I mean? But I've gotten a lot better.
No,
at that.
but I mean, you know, we do that to each other, but we've also gotten to a point that it's like, you know, we can be like, I don't really have space for this right now. Like, give me a minute. Like, you know, like let me mentally prepare myself for us to have a conversation.
I learned about that just recently. A gentleman.
I love your shirt.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I
I
didn't
just
even
saw
realize
what it said.
Divorced as fuck.
My friend,
Start a line.
I wore this to her bachelorette party.
I love that. That is amazing.
Fantastic.
Goals, like
So good.
hashtag goals.
Yes. But I learned that about asking about space because I have always just had that mentality as well. Like if we're like besties for the resties,
Right.
and I'm having like a minty bee or some shit's going on, and I need to talk about it. Like I'm just like,
Minty bee.
girl, I'm like, I need to talk to you about you know X, Y, and Z or whatever. And I also just have the personality trait of like, I have to talk through things with like multiple people in order to process it. I don't know why I'm like that. I can't
like,
stand
literally.
it.
And I had just saw a TikTok video about this.
did,
And I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense.
I was like, huh.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to just trust myself more because I'm like, I'm not crazy. I know I'm not crazy.
Yeah,
but anyways, my friend,
That comes with years of gaslighting.
sure.
You know, not feeling like you could trust your feelings.
Yes, I'm like, am I crazy? Or and like sometimes I want people to tell me like, yeah, you're being unreasonable.
Yeah.
Like I want to hear
That's
that.
what you've been told.
You know, it's like, tell me that I'm being unreasonable. And you said you think I'm being reasonable, so I gotta go down the list. But he told me that I was exhausting.
Who said it?
One of my we're not friends anymore, but I was told, he was like, you're exhausting. Like our relationship was exhausting. And it was kind of an unfortunate situation because we ended up not being friends and it was very abrupt and it was very painful to me. But back to kind of your comment about trauma, we were like trauma bonded, you know?
Yeah.
And so when we kind of reconciled, you know, he shared that he felt like I was exhausting. I was going through a lot, like with my family and different things like that at the time. And, you know, he was like, you just never even asked me if I had space. And that was kind of a hard concept for me to understand because I was like, well, you're my friend. So I just thought I could call you just like if you wanted to call me, like I'm just going to be there for you, you know? But then that made a lot of sense, right? Like to consider somebody else's mental capacity for whatever it is you need to bring to them, whether it's positive or negative, you know? Like, do you have space for anything right now? Do you have space for me? And so I really have implemented that in my communication styles now because I'm just like, hey, do you have space?
That's
what pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Do you have space today?
It's like, but that's what forms healthy relationships.
Yes.
That's what forms healthy boundaries. That's what forms like literally being able to have those lasting friendships, those lasting relationships. Because it's like, you know, like just the honesty, the authenticity, the vulnerability, the like, and then not taking things personal. If somebody is like, you know what, like honestly, I don't have the capacity right now.
Right.
Well,
And then not taking that personal and being like, oh my God, they don't want to talk to
They don't
me.
care about me.
Well, you gotta meet people where they are.
Right. And
if you can't do that, well, then you need to exit. You know what I'm saying? Instead of dragging out, because I stayed in many friendships that I should have exited. But because I was people pleasing and codependent, I wanted you to see me and love me and feel heard. And if I overextend, you know, that makes me a good friend, you know. But now I understand, like, that's not what a good friend is. And I need to take care of me. And that's what makes me a good friend, is when I'm able to take care of myself, then I'm able to pour more into my friendships.
Right.
And it's more meaningful because it's coming from a place of healing and unconditional love, and not from a place of trauma where I'm begging to be seen in my friendships, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I want to talk so much more about just womanhood and relationships. I think that's going to be a great episode.
I was going to say amazing and great at the same time. So
you're a great.
You're
brave. Yes, thank you so much, Stesha, for spending this time with us today and like sharing your story. I love it so much, and I love you, and I can't wait to talk to you more. And so, yes, if you haven't checked out the first episode of this 2-part episode, please go do it now. Don't forget to like if this resonated with you, leave a comment if this resonated with you, and share if this is something that you found impactful or feel like someone else might like it. We would love to hear from you.
Yes.
Thank you for coming to the Marvelous.